Leafs break up the right wing now. Blais throws on the brakes, centers, shoots, scores. Lorenz puts the Leaf on top 2-1. And then Tavares, what a kick out to Riley. Far wing, toe drag, Nylander tucks it in and scores. They couldn't deny Nylander the whole way. And the Leafs beat the Blues in overtime on a spectacular move.
Well, they got a point. They've been doing that a lot lately. They just don't get the second one, Alex.
We're not doing that. They got a point.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, Pavel Buchnevich, he's the story.
Oof, yeah. Oh, no, well, not that they got a point, and that they've got points in 5 of their last 6 games, and that they're only like 4 points out of the playoff spot.
Their young guys are fun.
They are fun.
We got a text. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. From the 314, this came in at 11:01. By the way, it's 11:04. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. For BK and Ferrario, can you please explain to me why Buch has not been healthy scratched yet? I think that is the single biggest question and most common question that I have seen, whether it be on the text line, social media, whatever it may be, Alex. And there's legitimate reason for it at this point. He has been one of your worst players on the ice. That's by production. That's by the eye test, everything. If you want to hear some numbers that go along with that, here you go, Alex.
These are facts.
There are 124 forwards in the NHL this season, so an average of roughly 4 per team that have played at least 250 minutes this year at 5-on-5. Out of those 124 forwards, Buch is one of 6 with 0 5-on-5 goals this year. It gets worse. Buch, Philip Deneau, and Steven Stamkos? What's up, dude?
He's going through it himself over in Nashville.
Those 3 are the only forwards in the NHL this season that have played at least 250 minutes at 5-on-5 with 0 goals and 1 or fewer primary assists. By the way, I think Steven Stamkos has 0 of each. It's not good.
Yeah, they're talking about trying to get him off the team right now.
I don't know how they
washed
can.
up.
I don't think they can unless
He's one of the least productive 5-on-5 players in the league, Alex. What do you do at this point?
You gotta scratch him. You've got to. And you know, I've pushed back on it a little bit just because I think you're taking the chance of Pavel Buchnevich going into an even darker place than what he is right now. But that game last night, to me, was the sign of this guy needs a reset. They did the same thing for Kyrie. They told him you need a reset because you're not playing the way we need you to. Well, not only was he a -3 in that game, which means he was on the ice for 3 goals against at even strength.
How many did they score?
They scored 2.
No.
Toronto, 3.
Opposition.
Sorry. Yeah, 2.
They scored 3.
They scored 3.
Yes.
Blues scored 2. Never mind.
You said
I'm confusing
-3,
myself.
so I was like,
I'm confusing myself.
That's all of the goals.
I'm confusing myself. But here's
my head hurts now.
I felt like Charlie Day right there. Here's the bigger issue.
Recap.
Let's reset.
Buch was a -3. The Maple Leafs scored 3 goals, which means, ipso facto, Buch was on the ice for all 3 goals against last night.
That's exactly correct, Brandon.
Sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
You're fine. I needed that reset. But on top of that, he had 1 shot attempt. 1 shot attempt. I went back and looked at this last night on postgame. In the last 8 games, do you know how many times he has had more than 3 shot attempts in a hockey game? Once. He's not shooting the puck. The overtime goal that happened started in the offensive zone. It was Broberg and Buchnevich. Broberg put the puck on his stick. He fumbled it, didn't get a shot off, and then tried to pass it back over to Broberg. And then that goes into the boards. It goes back the other way. They lose that board battle. It's a 2-on-1 against 37-year-old John Tavares, who was on the ice for 1 minute and 36 seconds. And watch the replay. Broberg has Tavares' stick tied up. So basically, he's doing his job. They need Buchnevich to pull the puck out. And instead, they don't get the puck out. Tavares kicks it out from behind him, and then all of a sudden, it's the goal that William Nylander scores. He's not shooting. He's deflecting to try and get the pucks away from him to go to other guys. His defense has dropped, and he's playing perimeter hockey. Everything about where Pavel Buchnevich is right now tells me that guy needs a reset.
We said this when they benched Kyrou. None of this is surprising. And that's what makes it almost that much more maddening to me, Alex, is that, like, we saw this. I think the Blues saw it. And I don't understand why Kyrou was the one that seemed to pay for Pavel Buchnevich's sins. It never made sense to me. It's like the old thing, like when KU would go through their infractions, they would pay a player. It was like, oh man, Cleveland State's going to get quite the punishment for what KU did. And that's what seems to be happening here for Buch. I almost expect Jordan Kyrou to get the healthy scratch in their next game because Buch is playing poorly again. It seems like everybody gets the blame other than him. I don't get it, man. Yeah, well, it doesn't make sense to me.
And no more. It can't. I mean, you know, Jim Montgomery had a comment yesterday or 2 days ago because somebody asked him, you know, how do you have to manage Pavel Buchnevich? And he said, look, he's a guy that I can bark at in a game and he'll get feisty with me, but he goes on the ice and he performs. But in practices, he'll just check out. So he's one of that's the human element of it to where he's one of those guys that Jim Montgomery has to like be very careful with because if you go the wrong route, you lose Pavel Buchnevich.
Sure.
I'd argue that Pavel Buchnevich has been lost in the last 8 games. I mean, yes, he still has not scored an even strength goal at all this season, but now he's not even shooting. And like if you're not shooting, yes, you can create plays with your offense and you have the ability to be a playmaker, but you've already got somebody on that line. Robert Thomas is that. You need to shoot the puck. Your $8 million player, pucks have to go on net. And if you refuse to do so, then where are you at? Because defense has dropped off for you. He even said that much to Matt DeFranks in the Post-Dispatch. My defense has been blank. Mm-hmm. So if you're not providing defense, if you're not shooting the puck, if you're deflecting passes to you, and that's resulting in turnovers, man, you've been taken off the number 1 power play unit.
He wasn't last night.
They put him back out there. Well,
he was on the top power play yesterday.
And I can at least explain that one because you're like the 11th best power play in the National Hockey League.
I can't. If you're going to be this bad at 5-on-5, you lose your opportunities on the power play.
I know, but you've got the chemistry, and right now the power play is the only thing that's going well for you.
And not because of him?
Well, no, but you've got the chemistry with everyone else. So that one at least, look, I don't agree with it. I think Holloway or Kyrou should be on it, but I can look at that and say, you know what, it's working. You don't want to mess with it. But at 5-on-5, you've taken him off the number 1 unit. You've put him on the 3rd line. You played like 17 minutes last night. And I know they moved him up to the top line for a couple of shifts because you were trying to spark that electricity. None of it has worked. So now your only answer is to scratch him. All of this being said, they got to have Jake Neighbors back before you scratch him. Because, I mean, you put Bukestad in there. I mean, you're still kind of in the same spot.
I don't care.
He can't play in. He has to reset. Now, I don't think this needs to be like 5 or 6 games. You sit him for 1 game, you put him back in the next. But you have to have the conversation with him. You have to look at him and say, you're not playing to the ability we need you to. The only way this team survives is if you pull your head out of you know what and go out there and play the way we need you to.
How many times have we talked about the word accountability for this team over the last 3 to 5 years?
A lot.
It's a word I never want to have to say again, but we keep coming back to it with the Blues. Well, if we're going to keep saying it, and Doug Armstrong has been the one that has mentioned it, well, then you have to have some accountability for Pavel Buchnevich having one of the worst games of any player on the Blues so far this season, and he did so last night. And it is a continuation of what has been a really horrid start to the year. We're 20 games into the season, man. We're quarter of the way through this thing. The Blues are 6-9-5. They're one of the worst teams in the NHL. There is no end in sight. There have been incremental gains in their game, and then it seems like every time we see something that's better, you get a Vegas game, or it's just a rotten performance. You get the Edmonton game, guess what? It's followed up by that stinker, that clunker against Washington. You play pretty well for a couple of games, Calgary, Vancouver earlier this season, boom, 8-3 on home ice against the Chicago Blackhawks. So every time we think there are steps in the right direction, they then take another 3 steps back. Buch is a big part of that, man. And yesterday, sure, he was bumped down to that 3rd line. He also played top power play minutes. He had 3 minutes of power play time last night. He ended up having multiple shifts in overtime, including the one that ultimately led to the game-losing goal.
Yeah, that's the part I didn't agree with.
And that was because of what he did in the offensive zone and the defensive zone. He shouldn't see the ice against Philly. He shouldn't. If they're going to replace Jordan Kyrou in these games and they're going to make an example out of him, the same thing should happen for your $8 million man who's been far worse than anything that Jordan Kyrou has been so far this year. I understand the human element of it, but there's a human element for the rest of the locker room as well, where eventually if this guy keeps getting rewarded for the bad performances, how can I look at this and think that there's any kind of accountability in the locker room? That guy needs to be shown the press box as well. I don't care if Jake Neighbors is available. Put Texier out there. Put Bukestad out there. I get it. I'm with you. But is it going to be that much worse than what you've seen so far this year? Sure. Is it going to be all that much worse than what it's been so far this year with Pavel Buchnevich? No, it can't be, because he's been one of the least productive players in the NHL at 5-on-5 this year.
For the longest time, I lived off of but you know what? If he could get one, he pulls himself out of it. I can't do that anymore because he's not even shooting the puck. He's not going to the areas that Jim Montgomery has told him to. I went back and looked at this 2 years ago when Drew Bannister, he scratched him. He didn't scratch him, but he sat him in the third period against Tampa Bay. Played 14 minutes, was a -3 in that game. After he returned to the lineup the next game, the final 51 games of the regular season, 17 goals and 40 points. He responded then. I mean, that was not playing him in the third period. This is probably more embarrassing if you're Pavel Buchnevich to be healthy scratched. You need to pull him back. This isn't even about the rest of this season. This is about the rest of the contract.
Yeah.
You need Pavel Buchnevich to not even be a top line player. You need him to be a top 6. You need him to be somebody who can put pucks on net, generate offense, try to get some scoring opportunities. And right now, he's not it. So they got to sit him in the press box.
He's Alex Estevon on BK. Coming up in about 15 minutes here on BK and Ferrario. What did we learn from the latest college football playoff rankings? We saw them revealed last night. We'll get to them coming up in 15 minutes, including T-Bone's Illini and our Tigers back in the rankings for the first time in a couple of weeks. We'll get into that in 15 minutes. Carlo Coliacovo, former NHL defenseman. He does radio now up in Toronto. What was his perspective of last night's game between the Blues and the Maple Leafs? We'll ask Carlo when he joins us next here on 101 ESPN. Carlo Coliacovo watched the game last night from the Toronto perspective. Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. We go now to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by the former Blues defenseman, does radio up in Toronto, joins us now here on BK and Ferrario. Carlo, we appreciate the time as always, man. We were watching that from the Blues side of things, and I got to tell you, we didn't enjoy that final goal as much as I'm guessing you did. How you doing today?
I'm good, boys. Thanks for having me on. Good catching up with you. And to be honest with you, for 60 minutes of that game, there wasn't much I enjoyed either from a Toronto perspective. So somebody had to win that game, and it was pretty awesome to see the game end in the highlight reel goal that it did end in, even though it wasn't in the Blues' favor.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, that wasn't fun on our end either. But Carlo, is it safe to say that both teams are in a bad spot right now moving forward?
Oh, absolutely they are. It's tough for me to say moving forward. I'm just going to answer that in real time. Clearly, I think both teams are underachieving. I haven't really paid too much attention to the Blues' woes. I know there's been a lot of inconsistencies. You know, their goaltending hasn't been the greatest. They've had some underperforming top players. The same can't be really said about the Maple Leafs. I can clearly and confidently say that goaltending hasn't been up to par considering the goaltending they got last year. Wall has come back and provided stability. He's looked really good in his first two games. Stolarz has had glimpses of his play from last year, but the workload was always going to be the question mark and the challenge for Stolarz. And clearly, I think he showed early on that the workload was having an effect in his play. And I think, you know, you go to revisionist history. I think if Stolarz was to turn back time, I think he would want to go back and not come out and call out his teammates after an overtime loss in the sixth game of the season, because things have not gone his way since that. And I feel bad for him because he's a good guy, but you just wonder what that did for his confidence in the net, knowing that every bad goal he's going to be looked at as in the same way. So they've been dealing with goaltending and defense, but more importantly, they've been dealing with health. They haven't been able to ice a healthy lineup for the majority of their games, and they're just trying to tread water right now. And from the Leafs' perspective, that was a massive win for them last night.
So, Carlo, from the Blues' perspective, one of the lightning rods of discussion right now is Pavel Buchnevich. You saw it on full display last night, a -3 in a game in which your team allows 3 goals. It's not ideal for your $8 million player with 6 years left on his contract. He does not have a 5-on-5 goal so far this season. He has just 1 primary assist at 5-on-5 so far this year. He's not shooting at 5-on-5. He lost a board battle, which led to the game-winning goal last night. From your perspective, what did you see when Buch was on the ice yesterday?
Not much. Not much. You know, and I think it's safe to say that about the majority of the Blues players. And look, clearly there's more than just him that's struggling to produce at the level that they're expected. You've seen Montgomery already take the healthy scratch approach with guys like Cairo, and I would imagine that the next step for Buchnevich is to maybe taking a seat in that same way too, because this is the one thing I always fear when I see teams commit long-term contracts to guys is how motivated are they, right, when they get this long-term security in there. I don't know Pavel Buchnevich personally. I don't know what he's like off the ice, but he's clearly not playing like a motivated player after all the things that you just pointed out that are a cause for concern. And look, when you're losing as a team too, it increases the spotlight on the player, and you just wonder, you know, how difficult of a time he's really having trying to manage this. You know, you don't want to, you know, as a coach, you don't want to go too crazy with some of the decisions in because you want him to find his confidence back. But at some point, I mean, you've moved him down the lineup. You're still playing him a good amount of minutes. If he's not producing, maybe the next step is that he starts watching to get the message, and hopefully that turns things around for him. But look, he's just a you know, he's a guy that's more than just one problem for the St. Louis Blues. I mean, Jordan Binnington, I know there's a lot of talk of him being Canada's goaltender, but he hasn't lived up to expectations. Some of the guys on the back end haven't played to their capabilities. So there's just a lot that's going wrong right now in St. Louis at one time. And, I hate to bring up last year. They were here last year, and the coaching change sparked them, but Montgomery's not going anywhere. So clearly the management team and the coaching staff has their hands full about which buttons to push.
So speaking of buttons, this is probably going to bring some PTSD back for you, Carlo, but I think in St. Louis now a lot of people are talking about it being a core problem for the Blues. Those main guys of Buchnevich and Kyrou and Thomas, you just listed off a couple of others. You went through years of people questioning core being the problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, again, I know you're not in that locker room. I know you're not talking to them on a daily basis, but just from an outsider's perspective, for a team that has had the same struggles for the last 3 or 4 years, would you consider that a core problem?
I think it's still early. Are you talking about for the Blues or for the Leafs?
Yes, for the Blues.
Well, I think it's still early to come to that determination because this is a core group that took a huge step last year, right? So do you really want to, lose all that belief after 20 games in a season where, look, I mean, I know it's early and I know it's been struggles, but how many teams are actually having good seasons in the NHL, right? I think sometimes just sitting back and taking, a relaxed approach or an honest approach about where you're at is just looking at how the rest of the league is doing and just understand that I think the league around all the good teams has gotten a lot better. Parity has never been this good in this league for this long. And maybe that's a challenge that some of these good teams with expectations are trying to manage where there aren't easy games on the schedule anymore. And, when there was all this talk about breaking up the core here in Toronto, I was, I was the cautious guy, just basically trying to, remind people that, be careful what you wish for, right? Because when you start demanding star players leave town and you break up the core and that's the message you got to send, sometimes you've got to, deal with the stuff that comes out of it. And for Leaf fans, Mitch Marner's been a huge loss. There's no sugarcoating it. The guys that used to come in to replace his production have not lived up to the standard. And you talk about this team defensively, Mitch Marner was one of the best defensive players in the league. They're missing that. So be careful what you wish for when you start treating star players on your team and wishing for them to go out of town. I mean, if there's the right move that's out there that you see could maybe get people's attention, you look at exploring it, but I don't think there's any panic being set with Doug Armstrong and his group about breaking up the core. I think they just got to find a way, each and every one of them, to play better.
Carlo, just a quick follow-up on that, because you mentioned, you don't want to break up a core that's building something. And a reference that I came up with a couple of games ago was back in that 2008-2009 season with the Blues that you were a part of. That was your first year, and that was a team that made the playoffs for the first time in it's like 4 or 5 seasons. Now, they went on to miss the playoffs the next couple of years, but you started to build that core. You started to build that confidence in the group. Does it take longer than just one stretch of 25, 26 games in a playoff appearance to build a little bit more consistency with the new coach?
Yeah, I think it absolutely does, because you got to show it you can do it over a long period of time with the group. And, I mean, the Blues were 3 seconds away, and I hate to bring up this reminder, 3 seconds away from playing in the second round last year in Game 7, right? So I believe it was 3 seconds. Could have been less.
Yeah, it was 1 second, Carlo, but we didn't want to go back to that.
There you go.
I think it was 1.3.
So, again, like sometimes that's tough to rebound off of. And, I guess sometimes, too, when you're still learning, the competition around you, which I think this year there's a lot of learning going on, because look at all the teams that have been bad and rebuilding the last couple of years that are in prominent spots right now in the standings. So I know people don't want to hear patience. And losing is a hard reality to preach patience, but I think for the Blues, they gotta find a way to get back in the win column and just find a way to stay close to a playoff spot, and hopefully they catch fire. Like, the last thing you can do in this version of the NHL that we live in is go on long losing streaks, because with the parity in the league, it's tough to probably find long winning streaks. So long losing streaks can definitely take you out of it. And so for the Blues, look, they battled hard. They got a point, and I think that's the positive you can take out of it. But they got to find a way to start banking some wins. And we had Cam Jansen on our radio station this morning, and he brought up a good point. I haven't paid attention to your schedule a lot, but they're going on a road trip here, and maybe that's something that road trips are always good to help bring the team together, get away from the home distraction, get away from all the criticism, and I think this will be a true tell of what type of Blues team you'll see this season, depending on what their record is coming home from this road trip.
Carlo, we'll get you out of here on this. Carlo Coliacovo is our guest here on 101 ESPN. You can hear him on TSN's First Up 1050 up in Toronto, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Former NHL Blues defenseman. When you think about Team Canada, I know these are decisions that are looming, and it's something that's kind of the backdrop to many discussions here in St. Louis. You mentioned Jordan Binnington and what his future holds for that team potentially. Robert Thomas is a guy that really desperately wants to be on Team Canada. As I started looking more into the options and some of the players that are playing their way into that conversation, it's hard for me to envision a scenario where he's on that roster, but how do you view that? Do you think Robert Thomas is somebody that will or should be on Team Canada this year?
I think before the season started, I would have definitely put him in the conversation of a fringe guy to make that team. And obviously the start of his season would determine whether he makes it or not. And I think with the slow start that he's had, the injury that he's had to deal with, and the way the team is playing, and the way guys around him are playing, I think it's going to be really difficult to find a spot for him on that roster because, we could easily play this game of names and have your own opinion of each guy. But when you really break it down, in February of last year when they had the Four Nations, Canada had a pretty strong team. So if you look at that roster, which is what they're going to base most of their decisions off, who comes off that roster to open up spots for guys like Robert Thomas, for guys like Mark Scheifele, for guys like Nick Suzuki, who are all being talked about being on the roster, and two other names that are lighting up the NHL right now, Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard. So, of the names I just mentioned, where would you rank Robert Thomas just based on performance this year in that list?
The bottom, yeah.
Right. So the challenge... It makes that challenge even more difficult for him to be on that roster. But look, there's still time. Anything can happen in the next couple of weeks with decisions, with performances. And I hate to, say injuries, but we live in a world with injuries. Anything can happen. For Robert Thomas, the only thing he can control is the way he plays for the St. Louis Blues. And I think his priority right now as a leader on that team and as a core player on that team is finding ways to get back to the winning ways in St. Louis and him leading that charge.
Carlo, we're hoping to see that very soon here in St. Louis. We wish you nothing but the best, man. Really appreciate you hopping on with us, giving us some time this morning.
My pleasure, guys. Happy to connect with you guys again, and hopefully the Blues can turn it around.
Thanks, Carlo.
Always good to chat. That's Carlo Coliacovo, former Blues defenseman, joining us here on 101 ESPN. You can hear him on First Up 1050 up in Toronto if you want to hear some more of his takes, especially as it pertains to the Toronto side of things with the Maple Leafs.
I hear what he's saying, and he's not wrong. But
which part of it?
The patient side of it.
Oh.
Man, I'm past the patient side of it now because it's been 4 years. And this is a guy who's played the game. He does understand how it works. The part that I do agree with is what he said about shaking up the core. Because as much as people want to say, ship out Jordan Kyrou, guy had 12 shot attempts last night. Like, you ship out a guy that you think is a problem, and then then you figure out 2 years from now that was the guy that wasn't the problem. Somebody on the roster was the problem.
Yeah, I'm more apt to trade out the guys that are aging out of the core as opposed to the guys that are entering their prime. Jordan Kyrou is somebody that should be entering his prime right now. Robert Thomas is somebody that should be entering his prime right now. Even if we think they're part of the problem, like, those guys are at least performing to some level. Robert Thomas still leads you in points this season. Mm-hmm. Jordan Kyrou is tied for second on the team in points so far this year. You know who's not performing like that? Braden Shen. Pavel Buchnevich. If they're going to make changes to the core of the roster, it's guys that are 30+. Those are the ones that should be the first ones shipped out this season. And so that's why, to me, those are much more significant conversations. I would also add this. Here are the Blues divisional finishes over the last 4 seasons. 6th, 5th, 5th, 7th so far this year. I mean, that's not a core that's been overly impressive. That's a core that appears to be in the midst of a rebuild or a retool with one 25-game hot stretch. That's very different than what's taking place in Toronto, where they had a core that was consistently reaching the playoffs as one of the top teams in their respective division, but just couldn't get over the top. They couldn't beat Florida, basically. They couldn't beat Florida. They couldn't beat Tampa. They get into the playoffs and they go up, or Boston. They go up against the best teams that are potentially going to go up and ultimately win the Stanley Cup, and they lose. A lot of the time in 7 games. This has not been the case for the St. Louis Blues. They've missed the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 seasons, and then last year they make it because of a hot 25-game stretch. So I think the 2 situations are apples and oranges. I don't think they're particularly comparable, honestly.
It's a fascinating dilemma because, like, you're running. I mean, you still got like 4 games before Thanksgiving, 6 before the end of the month. And then I would expect some type of move if the struggles continue. But the problem is I don't know what move. People that think you're just going to go out there and find something that shifts your roster around are sadly mistaken. Those trades don't get made at this time of the year.
I don't think this is about salvaging 2025 anymore. I think it's about salvaging the future.
Yeah, agreed.
Like I think
Doug Armstrong's
yesterday.
looking at it as salvaging the now and the future.
You are running uphill against time and history because looked this up last night. The Blues have 6 wins in their first 20 games. This isn't just like cherry pick. This is where you're at right now, and I'm comparing you to your peers, other teams that have won 6 or fewer of their first 20 games. And if you look at it, in the last 20 years, how many teams with that kind of record have ultimately made it to the playoffs? 2. There have been 2 teams in the last 20 years that had as few wins as you do through the first 20 games of the regular season that went on to make it to the playoffs. The last team to do so was nearly a decade ago. It was the 2016 Flyers. Before that, 2008 Capitals. End of list. The only other Blues teams in the last 30 years with this few wins through the first 20 games of the regular season, 2005 and 2006, when they were going through their rebuild with Mike Kitchen as the head coach. Your peers right now are rebuilding teams that select in the top 5. They are not playoff contenders. I don't care what the expectations were coming in. You don't compare right now to the Winnipeg Jets or the Dallas Stars or the Colorado Avalanche. Those are not your peers. Your peers right now are the bottom of the barrel. Your peers right now are the Calgary Flames. That is who you should be compared to. So until that changes, man, I'm talking about what the future holds, not what 2025-26 holds. This season is all but lost. And now you've got to think about what is the best thing for us in the bigger picture. The Blues now are where the Cardinals were. It sucks, but that's the reality. We figured that out at some point in the Cardinals season, and now we're starting to realize it in the first third of the Blues season right now.
Yep, and the problem with this one, too, is somewhat like the Cardinals, like the future, like you got Thomas and Kyrou, they're in their primes. Everything else is kind of a wait and hold because you're waiting to see Snuggerud and Dvorsky look awesome, but they're still a couple of years away from actually getting to that point where it's effective for 82 games. The guys in your pipeline are probably 3 to 4 years away, and you're talking about the pieces that are helping you, at least for the now, you thought are going to be aged out by the time you get there. So once again, seems crazy to say, you're stuck.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll get to questions and answers coming up at 11:45. But next, what did we learn from the college football playoff rankings last night? 2 local schools entered the mix once again. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Henderson here with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, the Blues fell to the Maple Leafs 3-2 in overtime. They are off today. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they visit the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, and puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
What did we learn from last night's college football playoff rankings? Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. My biggest takeaway from the ranking last night, Alex, I'm sorry, Vandy. It doesn't feel like they're in a good spot to be able to make the college football playoff this year. They're 14th in the latest rankings. Here's the problem, Alex. They don't really have an opportunity to get another quality win. Their best game down the stretch is against Tennessee. That's their best potential for a win. It is on the road. That helps. But Tennessee is ranked 20th right now. And part of the problem is they might lose at Florida. And even if they don't, if they do lose to Vandy at home, the odds are pretty strongly in favor of them either bouncing out of the top 25 or being like at number 25, which might not be good enough for Vandy to ultimately catapult themselves into the college football playoff rankings. They've got to worry about USC, who could have a big win down the stretch. They've got to worry about Georgia Tech, who could have a big win against Georgia still. They've got to worry about the group of five, the ACC, Notre Dame getting in. And on top of that, Bama lost last week against Oklahoma, which could put both Oklahoma and Alabama into the college football playoff this year. So my biggest takeaway, I think we saw what we all feared, which is Vandy ain't making it this year, man.
Yeah, well, and it's Texas too, right? Texas is pretty much done for.
That one I knew I had a pretty strong feeling about, though, and I don't think they should get in. They've got 3 losses.
Right.
Like, Vandy, the difference is they only have 2 losses on the season. If you go 10-2 in the SEC, I would think you get into the college football playoff, but I don't think Vandy will.
Yeah, so that just sets the SEC slate for you with those 5 teams. If Vandy's done, and we all know Texas is done. So that was part of my thought process with it. I was also looking at Miami, who I thought was done. Like, I thought Miami was done for, but I guess
still get in for the ACC.
They're still alive, which was, and I know Mario Cristobal was talking about, those head-to-head matchups of how they beat Notre Dame earlier in the season. So, like, we're talking essentially about what? One more spot that teams are fighting for to get in, because everything else is pretty clear-cut. And with Miami, Utah, BYU, I guess those are the ones we're looking at down the stretch.
Yeah, it all comes down to that Alabama spot and what they're able to do the rest of the way. And they've got a cupcake this week, and then they've got the Iron Bowl, and then they probably don't have to play championship weekend. And I don't know that they're going to get punished and knocked out of the playoff by not playing if BYU wins the Big 12. I think BYU will just take the Texas Tech spot. I don't know that the committee's going to be willing to knock Alabama out of this playoff if they just beat Auburn.
I think the most interesting spot to watch this week really, is Oregon and USC. Those 2 teams play against each other this weekend, Alex. It's a 2:30 game on CBS. USC is on the road at Oregon. Oregon right now would be in the playoff as of today. But you look at their resume, it's not overwhelmingly great either. They lost against Indiana. Their best win so far this year is, against Iowa, I guess? Mm-hmm. After that, it's the Penn State double overtime win, but I don't know that certainly doesn't look as good as it once did on their resume. This is a chance for them to get a nice quality win against USC. And the next week, they could get another solid win against Washington. But again, I don't know if that really gets people overly excited. If Oregon were to lose, I do wonder, how far does Oregon fall in the rankings, and how far does USC go up in the rankings? That, to me, is the thing that I find most interesting going into this
Oregon
week.
can't be in if that's the case, right?
I don't know.
They'd only have
what's
2
weird
losses.
Is there was a weird
It would
comment.
be in a really similar spot to Vanderbilt.
But don't have a big win at all.
Yeah, well, what's weird is there was a weird comment from the College Football Playoff Committee yesterday in the interview. I don't know if it was with the press or if it was on ESPN, where he said, hey, yeah, they're still getting credit for that win against Penn State, even though they fell off a table right after that. What?
I think that's nonsense.
I agree. That's what I don't understand. And again, I think it just is a reminder that I think the committee doesn't have a great standard that sticks to it from week to week on what they're doing.
Yeah, how are they giving them credit for that, but yet Miami doesn't get credit for that Notre Dame win in week 1?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I don't understand. Well, that one at least they are a good team. Like Penn State's awful. Like that's where it doesn't make sense. I think what would happen is I think Oregon falls out. I think they fall out, and maybe USC leapfrogs up into 10, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I think you have to put USC in the playoff conversation if they're able to take down Oregon on the road.
Because at that point, USC would have the same big win as Oregon. That big win is against Iowa. They both beat Iowa this season. USC in this scenario would also have a win against Michigan and against Oregon. USC's resume is better than Oregon's resume, and they beat them head-to-head. So how could you keep USC out of the playoff and put Oregon in when one of them has a better resume and they have the head-to-head victory? It's hard for me to envision a scenario where that would be the case. Now, I don't know that that immediately puts USC into the playoff. It just puts USC ahead of Oregon. And then you have to put their resume up against Bama, against BYU, Utah, Miami, because USC lost head-to-head against Notre Dame. Guess who beat Notre Dame head-to-head? That's Miami. So you then look at Miami's resume and compare theirs to what USC has. Well, Miami has the win against Notre Dame this season. They don't really have another big-time quality win on their resume. And their 2 losses, you could argue, are worse than the losses for USC. So this is where things get really interesting. The big game this weekend as it pertains to the college football playoff, in my opinion, which could create the chaos that I think a lot of people are looking for, Oregon versus USC. If you'd like to see more chaos in the rankings next week, USC is who you should be rooting for this weekend. And I think they've got a decent chance to be able to pull this off, especially if it was at home. I would give them an even better chance.
Yeah, and I would think because of what you just said with the resume with USC, I think they have to leapfrog BYU, Utah, Vandy, because they have better wins than those schools. Like, who is BYU's best win when you look at their schedule? Like, I guess the Utah game, who's just behind them. But then I look at Utah and go, okay, well, who is Utah's best win?
Nobody.
They don't have a good win. And that's why BYU is ahead of them because, 1, they beat them head-to-head. 2, they just don't have a great resume. And that's truly the only big win for BYU. You just mentioned at least 2 solid ones for USC if you take down Oregon and you've got Michigan on that. And then you can throw in the Iowa game if you want. Like, okay, I don't know how you don't put them ahead of BYU. They just don't have the quality wins to put there.
These teams all have to, in my opinion, be behind Bama. Because Bama has so many quality wins on their resume that they've got to continue to be pushed up. So Bama would be in. And then it's a question of, like, who gets that last spot? Who ends up earning the final spot in the playoff? And it will be a battle between BYU, Utah, Miami, Vanderbilt, USC, Georgia Tech. And then if you want to put them in there, Texas would potentially be back into this mix. You're talking about like 7 or 8 teams for 1 spot in the college football playoff. It would be fascinating, but all of this is dependent upon Oregon losing this weekend. If Oregon wins, Oregon's almost certainly getting that final spot in the playoff. USC falls back down. And I think we kind of know going into the final week of the regular season who like 10 or 11 of the 12 teams are going to be going into this year's college football playoff, barring something unforeseen.
Yeah, and one other team to throw in there, because I don't think you said their name, and it's just because they're in the playoff right now, would be Tech. If Tech loses the Big 12 championship game to BYU, BYU is guaranteed. Then what do you do with
Texas Tech?
Yeah, sorry. What did I say?
You said Tech. I wasn't sure if you were talking about Georgia Tech or Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Because if Texas Tech loses that game, okay, what do you do with them, too, if they were to lose to, like, BYU, for example? Because then you lock in BYU. Okay, so I look at Texas Tech, and they split with BYU, a playoff team, and then their other losses because they had their backup quarterback in the game against, I think it was Arizona State.
Correct.
Now what do you do with them?
What's their big win? It's Utah. So Utah has no big wins on their resume.
And BYU, because BYU's a playoff team.
Utah has no other quality wins on their resume. So Utah is getting basically everything from just beating the teams that they were supposed to, which is what I can also say about Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt doesn't have the big win on their resume, but they beat all of the teams that they were supposed to. And I think the teams they beat were a little better than the teams that Utah, Texas Tech beat, etc. So is Vandy getting held out, or does Vandy end up in over Texas Tech in the scenario that you're presenting here?
I feel like I'm playing a choose your own adventure game right now.
Basically what it is.
Yikes.
Yeah, this is why.
And the best part, we get to change our standard every week as the playoff committee.
Weren't there people complaining
In
about
some scenarios, the head-to-head matters, and others it doesn't.
Yeah, I thought people were claiming.
Sometimes we're giving credit to teams that were in the top 25 when they were good.
People were complaining when the playoffs advanced and said those big matchups don't matter anymore. And now we're talking about those big matchups and how it should matter.
It's what I always said to T-Bone. Now, you can take this or leave it because it does de-emphasize some of the games. There's no way to avoid that. Like, some of the big games have less meaning now than they did previously. It makes more games matter, though. USC versus Oregon matters this week for both teams because of the expansion of the playoff. If there was no expansion of the playoff, it would matter to a degree for Oregon because maybe they could sneak in. It seems unlikely, but maybe they could. But it matters for both teams because USC is now looking at this and saying, hey, we got an outside shot. We got a puncher's chance to be able to get into the college football playoff this year. So there is real value in us finding a way to win this game. Alongside T-Bone and Alex, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Questions and answers coming up next. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. Coming up here in just a little bit, the Cardinals seem to be going in a new direction when it comes to their international amateur signings. We'll give you the latest on that here in just a moment. From the 314, Alex, who gets traded in order? Shin, Benner, Kyrou, Buch. Most likely to least likely.
Most likely would be Shen. Go Kyrou, then Bennington, then Buchnevich.
The exact same order.
Yeah, I think Buch is the most likely.
Least likely, you mean?
Yeah, least likely.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to
get a full no trade and the salary for 6 more years. Good luck.
Somebody made a comp on the text line a little bit ago that said Buchnevich is Yori Laterra. In terms of performance, probably. In terms of trade, no way. Because Laterra, you could trade to wherever you needed to.
Because they screwed it up.
Yeah, there's no trade clause. Yeah, Doug saw it in the first year and was like, ooh, this isn't sustainable. And somebody was willing to take a chance on it, and that's how you got Braden Shen.
Didn't he forget to turn in his list or
No,
something?
that was Berglund.
Oh, okay.
That was Berglund. And then he opted out of playing in Buffalo and never played in the NHL again.
Do you think it's more likely it'd be Kyrou over Bennington?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to move on from Bennington. Yeah, well, value, but also I think they're like, hey, if we want to be competitive again next year, we need to have a goaltender. And I don't know if they think Hofer's ready for it yet. And, God, you lost Colt. If you had Colton Ellis in your system, maybe I'd be more willing to say it, but you have nothing beyond Hofer.
That's probably fair. That's probably enough to where I would... Because I was thinking in my head, like, man, I could see where teams would want... Not that they wouldn't want Kyrou, but goaltending is... I could see where they look at Bennington and say, that's the guy that helps us get over the top.
I don't think Edmonton's going to be desperate for goaltending. Now, I don't know the desperation that would match what the Blues would trade, which you typically don't see. But if you had Colton Ellis, I would have Bennington as number 2. But you have nothing beyond Hofer. So
from Carrot on the text line, did BK just reverse BKO the Blues by saying this is a lost season? I hope so. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. But I'm still actually going to be a little pissed off if they find a way to turn it around because it's like, yeah, but what's believable anymore?
Oh, I would love it if they turn it around.
Oh, I'd love it for this season. I'm just saying, like, then next year I'm not going to sit here and act as if they're going to enter the season because I'm still concerned that this team
would, though.
Continue as slow starts.
Let's be
know.
real. No. We would absolutely believe in it going into next year. We believed in it going into this year. We're like, okay, they figured it out. Wow. And next year we would probably say the same thing. Hey, Dvorsky came in. He gave them a boost. Neighbors came back. That's when everything changed, and they figured it out down the stretch. And it took them a month to figure it out. But I don't believe that's going to happen. No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm getting tired of making
jaded.
I'm getting tired of making these big montages at the end of the year that are like 8 minutes long, and I got to sort through a ton of shows to find our best clips of us saying they're not going to figure it out, and then they freaking do.
You'll have a lot of me this year if they turn it around.
From Starvin Marvin, are we just wasting a playoff spot on the non-Power 5 team? I saw yesterday the Group of 5 team would be like a 21-point underdog in their first game against Texas Tech, I think is what I saw. I still like it. I like including the Group of 5. I think one spot for a Group of 5 team is worthwhile. Now, I would have a slight caveat here. If there are no Group of 5 teams that are ranked in the top 25, I would be okay with them not making it. I think you have to be in the top 25 in order to get in. But if you have a Group of 5 team that's among the 25 best teams in the country, I think they should get in.
Yeah, I even if they're not in the top 25, I think you got to put a Group of 5 in.
I'm cool with that.
Those conferences need, and I get it. I think it's been 2 different conferences. It'll be the American probably this year. Last year is the Mountain West. They need to get some of that playoff revenue. I mean, they are operating at such disadvantage. And if we're going to go off a caveat of if they're not in the top 25, they're not
12, in. Man, like I'm with you.
If they're not in the top 25. I hate to say it, I think this is going to become more the norm, where you're not going to see a Group of 5 team get into the top 25.
That's the other thing is I would fear if you added that as a caveat.
They'd never make it.
The committee just wouldn't put him in.
But they're not even valuing James Madison's 9-1 season yet. They're going, their schedule. Okay, but you're giving it to 2-loss. Who's in now? Why am I drawing a blank? Tulane. Yeah. Because of their non-con schedule that they did. Their non-con schedule was good, but it wasn't the best of the Power 4. So whatever.
They beat Memphis. That's a hell of a lot better than anything James Madison has done.
Agree, but they still have 2 losses, and one of them's to UTSA, who's like 5-5 in the American.
Can I read you James Madison's?
I know it's not a great schedule, but I mean it's 1 loss. Like I just view James Madison as, hey, I think they belong in a little bit more than Tulane.
James Madison has 1 loss. It was on the road at Louisville.
Yeah, by 14, which is not bad.
By 2 scores though. Their best win on the season is like I truly don't know. Their wins this year, Alex. Weber State, Liberty, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, Louisiana, Old Dominion, Texas State, Marshall, Appalachian State.
There's not one good win on that record.
No.
And at least the Memphis one
You
is
have
a
to go
win.
undefeated if you're this program and you want into the college football playoff. I'm sorry. That's reality.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, Boise State had a really close loss against Oregon. That was the way that they were able to get in. Liberty and Oregon. Liberty losing this week against Clemson did not help their resume one bit.
Because at least they've got the win versus Memphis. And if you're going off of a bigger win, that's a much bigger than anything James Madison has.
Agreed. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, it appears that the Cardinals are changing their philosophy on the international amateur market. It's an area that they have not seen much success in recent seasons. What could this mean? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here in Missouri. Big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. That's less than 2 weeks away, so soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my code TANNER. That's code TANNER as new Missouri customers. Sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code TANNER. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Alex is a little busy. He'll be back here momentarily. Alongside Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So there was a report that came out yesterday. I wasn't sure if this was new or something that had been in agreement for a while. The answer has been in agreement for a while, but it does indicate something different. Wilbur Sanchez says Emmanuel Luna, the Dominican Aaron Judge of the class of 2026, has a pre-agreement with St. Louis, and is expected to sign for a $2.3 million bonus. Quote, he possesses an inhuman amount of power at just 16 years old. He easily connects for 110-mile-an-hour hits. He projects to become a 30-30 type of player. Now, a lot of the time, welcome back in, Alex. A lot of the time, we see these young players coming from the Dominican, Puerto Rico, whatever it may be, and there can be some overhype at times. So I don't want to get out over our skis on what the Dominican Aaron Judge is going to be. However, it does speak to a departure in previous tendencies for the Cardinals in international amateur free agency, Alex. Last year, the Cardinals' top bonus was $800,000. The year before that, $500,000. In 2021, $765,000. Before that, $600,000, $300,000, $300,000. So typically, the Cardinals do what I will consider to be a spray and pray type of approach. They spend their money on a bunch of different players, and then by the end of it, they've got all kinds of opportunities to potentially get somebody that's good. Unfortunately for them, most of the time it has failed. They've really only gone, quote-unquote, all in on one player. It's Jonathan Mejia, who has not worked out for the Cardinals so far. He has not become the player that they hoped. But in 2022, they spent $2 million in signing bonus on him. This would be the biggest signing bonus that the Cardinals have given to an international amateur free agent since at least 2016. I like it. This is what many of the top contenders across Major League Baseball are doing, Alex. They go out there and they spend what is necessary to get the top premium talent in this market. The Cardinals cannot access this talent via free agency. They're not going over to Japan where guys are getting like legit free agent deals, $100+ million. It's not available to them. So, yes, this is a big expense up front, $2.5 million for an unknown. That's a hell of a lot better than $170 million for one of these pitchers that are coming overseas from Japan at the age of 27. You're getting these kids into your system at 16, 17, 18 years old, and 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they may become a superstar for you. That is the way that you need to be spending your money. Spend resources this way. Put a ton of investment into scouting these markets. Try like hell to get the top players that are coming up as prospects, because this is effectively an extra first or second round pick that you're adding into your system. So to me, it's a welcomed departure from their previous way of accessing this market. And I'm happy to see that it is something that appears to be a focus for Chaim Bloom in this new administration.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that gets you excited as a Cardinals fan because it's new. It's something that they just have not done in years past. I brought it up in the office, and completely different price range. But I remember when Luis Robert was available, and we talked about how it made sense for the Cardinals because it was an outfielder. It was a lot of money. But then the reports were that the DeWitts weren't willing to spend that type of money on an international free agent or an international prospect. And it's like, man, what's going on here? It's like you got to tap into other resources if you want to find ways to develop. And now, I mean, I know he's 16 years old, and, you know, I don't put a whole lot of stock in comparing it to an Aaron Judge. I think we're getting out over our skis there. But why I would be excited, because this is something that we've heard a lot of people say that Chaim Bloom is excellent at. He's excellent at identifying talent overseas, international markets, and bringing them in at a young age into developing them. Like Rafael Devers was the big one for the Boston Red Sox. And I just went back and looked at it because you mentioned the last time they did this was which player?
Jonathan Mejia in 2022.
So I was also just kind of going back into the time frame and trying to find out, like Carlos Martinez was a $1.5 million signing bonus as an international prospect. And look at what that did for the Cardinals. I know it didn't work out at the end, but in the beginning, it's like, holy hell, what did they just find? So he's 16 years of developing before you get anywhere near him being productive in the major league roster. But this is a different feel than what it's been in years past. And that's the part that you hope that Chaim Bloom is starting to change the mindset of people around the Cardinals organization.
Can I read you? By the way, he's ranked as the number 8 international amateur free agent in this class.
So we settled.
Up there. This is the scouting report by MLB Pipeline on a kid that's 16 years old. He's 6'2", 195 pounds at 16 years old, by the way.
Man, that guy's
He's ripped in the pictures that I saw.
Quote, with a muscled-up physique, it should come as no surprise that he boasts a ton of raw power coiled up from his right-handed swing. Right-handed? Okay. He is consistently spraying the ball to all fields, all while showing balance and bat control. Few hitters in this class can match his advanced feel for hitting or strike zone recognition, while he displays all of the top-tier traits as it pertains to approach at the dish. His biggest supporters believe that there's even more to come at the plate in time as he continues to face advanced pitching and receives pro instruction. He's built like a football tailback with powerful legs that allow him to scoot around the base paths, a solid defender whose arm stands out more for its accuracy than its strength, but he will make his money in the pro game with his bat and his wheels. There's definite 2020 upside with the potential for even more should all of these tools come together. That's the kind of player I want to bet on. You go into the international amateur market, you get a guy that if everything works out right, he could be a 20-20, 30-30 type of player. That's who you bet on. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it'll work. The odds are against it. The odds are we never see this guy at the major league level because that's how it works with 16-year-olds that you're betting big on. But at least there's upside. And that's been the biggest thing that the Cardinals have failed to accomplish in recent seasons is they have not brought in enough high upside plays into the organization. And even when they do, it's like, we'll do one in this year's draft. We'll do one in international free agency. No. Keep going. Keep adding. Keep stacking up these potential wins. And if they pay off, boy, it could be something that pays off for the next 10 to 15 years for your organization.
Well, and the thing that Mo fell victim to there in the final 5 years, I would say, is if it didn't work, they just kind of gave up on it. And,
Exactly.
and when I say it didn't work once. Right, like the Mejia signing, like they probably learned early on, okay, this is not going to work, and they didn't spend that much money again. They didn't even exceed over $800,000 over the last 2 years. Like if this doesn't work and you end up burning just $2 million in cash, okay, well, go back to it, right? Got to put more money into the machine and see if you can finally turn one of them out.
Think about what $2 million gets you on your Major League Baseball roster.
Nothing.
Right? Like you almost don't find play. It's a
Phil Maton.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was his salary.
And that was lucky because he was available so late into the offseason.
And he didn't throw hard.
Oh, yeah, most of the time, $2 million gets you a 26th man on your roster. So if you're telling me over the course of, I don't know, a 10-year stretch, I'm paying $20 million for these guys, and I get 10 of them, or I can spend $20 million on Miles Michaelis, what's the better investment? I would rather have 10 players that have this kind of upside over that stretch of time. And it consistently gives me the access to this kind of talent, the potential to develop them at the major league level. That changes the outlook of your organization. Miles Michaelis gives you 170 innings with a 5 ERA.
Well, this year
Changes nothing.
Yeah,
I need to develop those guys from within. And then if I add in one of these kinds of players, now we're talking about a team that can really
selling
contend.
Michaelis short, a future Cardinals Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no,
for a
not
16-year-old, what sounds like Jordan Walker. When I just heard his
seen
build.
his upper body?
That's the thing.
Oh, Miles? Yeah, it's
No,
very tiny.
not Miles. No.
Actually, Miles pretty well put together too.
Very much
That's
so.
fine, but oof.
Jordan Walker is exactly what I hope this kid becomes. The prospect version of Jordan Walker. And then you hope he actually develops and is given the time and is given the opportunity to reach a ceiling at the major league level. That's what you're hoping for here. You can't just have one version of that. You got to have like 10 of them in your organization at any given time. All right, in 15 minutes, we'll talk things over with Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, more likely to happen next year on 101 ESPN. got some news to pass along. According to the Cardinals, J.J. Weatherholt has been named their minor league player of the year.
Trade him for Tatis Jr. right now.
Bryson Motts was named the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the
They
year.
didn't even put him on the 40-man roster.
No, they did.
They did? I thought he was the one. Oh, no, Rajic was the one that wasn't on there. Makes sense.
Bryson Motts, pitcher of the year in the Cardinals minor leagues. J.J. Weatherholt, player of the year for them in their system. So congratulations to both of those players. J.J. Weatherholt will be talking with the media, I believe, coming up today at 2 o'clock. So you'll probably see some comments coming from him later on this afternoon. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You guys give us 2 scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely. More likely, Alex, this year, to make it to the NFL playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens. I think they win that division, and that's how they get in. Chiefs, I don't know how the Chiefs get in.
I think I'm leaning Ravens as well, and it's because the division. Because the Chiefs don't have the division to rely on, and they've got to leapfrog 3 teams, if I'm not mistaken, and they don't have the tiebreaker against all 3 right now. They could get it against the Texans when they play them. Other than that, though, I mean, it's not that hard.
They can beat the Broncos, right? They've done it before.
Well,
you throwing pens over there because they didn't beat the Broncos?
Would you relax?
Man, they'll maybe get better.
It. Your football teams are going through it right now.
You're right. It's the Ravens. They're more likely to make it. I saw somebody tweet this yesterday. There's a parlay you can put down that's plus money on the Chiefs, Ravens, and Lions to make it into the playoffs this year. Because as of today, by the way, the Lions would not be in the playoffs. I don't know if people are talking about that a whole lot, but the Lions today are the 8th seed in the NFC. So if you put down a parlay of Ravens, Chiefs, Lions just to get in, not win the division or anything, those 3 teams making the playoffs is actually plus money right now in the Vegas odds.
Might have to go look into that one. That sounds like some easy money for Ferrario.
Alex, what do you got for us today?
More likely to happen, guys, at some point in their career, Dvorsky scores 30-plus goals or Jimmy Snuggerud scores 75-plus points.
Wait, what was the goal number for Dvorsky?
30-plus.
Snuggerud. I've been impressed by his playmaking ability.
I think I would go Snuggerud as well. I sent this in the group text the other night. I think Jimmy Snuggerud could be this team's version of Jason Robertson.
I agree
now,
with
granted, I tried to make Kyra that for the last 3 years, and I've finally given up on that. So I'm moving my attention to Snuggerud.
I also think Snuggerud plays a little bit more consistently in both ends of the ice than Robertson does.
And I think his hockey IQ is just off the charts. And you saw it in the playoffs last year. Like, you knew he was going to be a guy that would just get crunched against the boards if someone went to hit him. So what did he do? He didn't try and fight against it. No, he would dump the puck before they got to him. He's got great vision. He's made a couple of nice passes. He's got an incredible shot that's only going to get better with his age. I would say him over 70.
Yeah, mine's Snuggerud as well. I think Dvorsky could get there, but he's a power play specialist right now. You got to see more at even strength. But, man, Snuggerud he's more elite at passing than he is at shooting, which is wild to say.
How many goals do you think Jimmy Snuggerud has at even strength in his last 15 games?
I don't think he scored any power play goals. In his last how many games?
15.
I'll go 2.
He's got 5. I'll say 3.
1. 1 5-on-5 goal in his last 15 games. Doesn't feel that way. I think he's played pretty well.
Yeah.
He has 4 even strength assists in that time, so he's contributing offensively. But this is part of what I think you were getting at, Alex. He does more than just shoot. Yeah. My fear was this is going to be a guy that just kind of stands around the outside, and occasionally you'll see him with a good shot. That's a valuable commodity. That's something this team has lacked in recent seasons. But he does more than just that. He's a pretty decent, well-rounded player, and he's doing that at the age of, 21 years old? So I've been very impressed by Snuggy thus far.
I really am excited if they go with neighbors Thomas Snuggerud to see that for a sustained stretch.
T-Bone?
Guys, more likely to happen. We will see Bryson Motts and Quinn Matthews combined throw 100 innings at the major league level this year, or we will see Andre Palante get 100 innings this season.
Who were the first two?
Motts and Matthews combined.
I'll say Palante.
I think so, too. I'll go Palante.
I just think they're going to go with certainty and let it play out with Motts. Motts didn't even make it to AAA this past year, right?
No.
Because we talked about him potentially getting there.
We haven't. I don't think we've talked about it. The days blend together. Hein Bloom is known more for being very patient with letting prospects just simmer down in the minor league, especially on the pitching side. So I thought they would give Motts a chance at AAA, and they didn't. They're going to take their time with Motts at AAA as well. I would say, though, it is more likely that those two will combine for more innings than Palante.
I like it.
And the reason is because I think Palante is going to be more in a swing role, so it's going to be harder for him to get into the 100 innings range. And the hope is that Matthews develops in a month, 2 months to be able to get potentially up to the Major League club, and then Motts could hopefully be ready post-All-Star break.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You guys gave us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely. From the 636, more likely the Cardinals sign a starting pitcher to a multi-year contract, or the Blues trade someone currently off of their NHL roster by the deadline. Cardinals sign a multi-year starting pitcher, Blues trade someone off their NHL roster.
Blues trade somebody off their NHL roster.
I agree.
If they continue to trend this way, I mean, typically the end of November, beginning of December is when you see some teams hit that point where it's like, okay, we've got to make a move. And I think Blues, I think Flames, I think Predators are all in that conversation right now.
Yeah, I think it would be Blues because I think if the Cardinals are going to the market for a starter, my guess right now, until I see Sonny Gray, Arenado, those guys off the books, they're going to go more of a one-year deal for a starter, like a Dustin May rebound
We figured out what the price is if you sign a guy with a QO?
We'll find that out on December 2nd officially.
Okay.
My early belief is that it'll be the third pick for the Cardinals. That's my early belief, but we find out officially on December the 2nd. More likely to happen, the national champion comes from the Big Ten or the SEC? I'll say Big Ten. I think Indiana and Ohio State are the two best teams this year.
I don't think anybody in the SEC is close to those two teams. I think Indiana, in my opinion, might be better than Ohio State, but it's going to be the Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the Big Ten. I don't know how good these SEC teams are. They are good. Don't get me wrong. But do they have that ceiling of being a team that could win the national championship? I think the only one of that group I would say is A&M. I know some would argue
Almost
Georgia.
lost to South Carolina.
I know. That's what really throws you off this end of it. I don't think Georgia can do it. I don't think their defense is good enough.
Can I give you the one concern I have about Indiana? And I don't know how founded it is, but my one concern. They have basically been great against a quality opponent once this year. And that was against Illinois. They were unbelievable in that game. Outside of that game, and I've said to you guys all year, I think Indiana is the best team in the country. So this is not me saying they're not good. They're not deserving of any of the praise that they've been getting. They're awesome. They're such a good football team. But for as much as we talk about the lack of ceiling for these SEC teams, I do wonder if part of that is because they're going up against better opponents on a weekly basis. You know, like, is it possible that we see more of their blemishes and we just haven't recognized those for a team like Indiana, for example, because they haven't had as many opportunities to be exposed, like Georgia, Texas, Bama, Texas A&M, etc. That is my one thing that I do wonder a little bit about a team like Indiana this season.
Could I say the same about Ohio State?
Sure.
Because, I mean, they didn't look good against Texas, and that's really the only team that they've kind of played on their schedule because Penn State was not Penn State.
Illinois as well.
Yeah, and
the only two teams, like the commonality between Ohio State and Indiana is that their resumes kind of propped up by Illinois this season. Now, the win against Texas was a good one. Week one's weird in general, but the win against, they deserve credit for that. And I think the top two teams in the country, again, I believe are Indiana and Ohio State. But it is something that I have been wondering. Some would say that the SEC is overly propped up. I would disagree with that. I think the SEC is really deep. I think there are a bunch of good teams in the conference this year. And then it comes down to how good do you think all of them are? And is that why Ole Miss has more losses on its resume, et cetera, than Indiana, Ohio State, et cetera? I do think that's part of the conversation that gets a little overlooked. Like Texas A&M this year has a win against Notre Dame on the road. And that was like a blemish because they gave up 40 in the game. Well, yeah, they did. They won, and they beat a top 10 team in the country. Oregon is the one team that I can say that about for Indiana. It looks good in the game, but is Oregon as good as we think they are? Because their resume is also propped up by a bunch of mediocre teams this season, and it's Iowa. So, I don't know. Interesting spot for college football. This is what makes it fun, is you have to do... There's a lot of inequities in the sport, and so you have to rank these teams based upon your eye test and some of the numbers. But the numbers are propped up based upon different quality of opponents. over the course of the season. All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. In 10 minutes, we'll get into the junk drawer. But next, Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, joins us to discuss that game from last night and what he's seeing right now from Pavel Buchnevich. Chris Kerber next here on 101 ESPN.
You know, I keep talking to you guys every single week about classic air care, and this is the time of the year. Just trust me on this. If you haven't had that furnace checked out, make sure you do. Now, look, some of it is, yes, it's clearly just to make sure that it's running well, that it is doing what it should be, and the idea behind service is that it helps you avoid catastrophic repairs where you might not have to, especially if it's an older unit. It's no different than making sure your car is running smooth or just maintaining other things around the house. But this is maybe the single most important unit to keep your house comfortable. And how about this? We enjoy the promptness and professionalism of every person we have met, encountered, or had enter our home. They are very clean and neat, down to business kind of employees. Couldn't ask more. That's what you get from Classic Air Care. That's a review from Cindy. And I'm telling you, folks, that's the kind of service that you're going to get. There's also a safety reason to have that checked. You want to make sure that everything is good. These things can break down. CO2 can spread through the house because of them. Make sure that you are getting that unit worked on. They've got over 100 trucks on the road every day. They've got after-hours service as well. Classic Air Care should be the company you use. I use them, and I'm thrilled with them. ClassicAirCare.com. They've been making people comfortable since 1926.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues fell to the Maple Leafs last night. They are off today. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they visit the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll have pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, and puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We're happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by our friend, the voice of the Blues. He's Chris Kerber, joining us as he does each and every Wednesday here on BK and Ferrario. Kerbs, how's it going, man?
You know, it's going okay, BK. Riz put me on a hunt for a shaved pork and cheese sandwich that I guess Philly is known for, so I went and I found it. I like the shaved pork, but it's the garlic broccoli thing on here that I'm not really a fan of.
Did you say garlic broccoli?
Yeah, it's like these like little broccoli chunk things, and I love broccoli and this garlic stuff, and it's on this pork. And I like the sandwich, but I'm just not wild of the mix. I think I'd rather eat it separately. Yeah. Anyway, I think it was worth a hunt. I mean, they put me onto it, and I told them I'd try it. So, you know,
I've never seen this before.
Down.
I was just on the straight Philly cheesesteak.
This looks
no,
really
that's
good.
what I thought. But apparently, it's like the shaved pork thing, and it's Philly's known for it. I never knew that until I did the show this morning with the guys.
Philly Italian pork sandwich.
Yeah.
Dripped.
It's definitely unique. I don't think that I'm going to hunt for it as much, but I'd eat it. So anyway, that was my last half hour.
Drippy broccoli or spinach, depending on where you're going.
Yeah, no. Ooh.
Okay, you know what?
I'm out on that.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think I like the broccoli part. And I think they've also put the spinach on here, and I like spinach cooked a certain way. I think that's what might be throwing me off.
I don't do soggy broccoli. My broccoli has to have crunch to it. Otherwise, I'm not eating it. Same with spinach. Okay. If it doesn't crunch, I'm not eting it.
All right, Kerbs. Well, let's talk about
there's something new there. Yeah. Oh, let's talk hockey.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about Pavel Buchnevich, Kerbs?
If you'd like.
Okay.
It's your show.
Unfortunately, I would. So I looked this up today. There are 124 forwards in the NHL that have played at least 250 minutes of 5-on-5 ice hockey this year in the NHL, Kerbs. Buch is one of 6 that do not have a goal in those 250 or more minutes at 5-on-5. 6 forwards out of the 124 that have qualified. He is one of 3 that do not have a goal and have 1 or fewer primary assists at 5-on-5 this season that have played that amount of ice time. The other 2 are Philip Deneau and Steven Stamkos, which, wow, not great.
Yeah, that one's gone poorly.
Curbs, he's been one of the least productive players in the NHL with his amount of ice time so far this season. And last night, you see at the end of the game, the board battle and the breakaway opportunity and 3-on-3, it just wasn't a good game for him. Is there anything left that the Blues can do other than a healthy scratch in order to try to get him to their game?
Well, okay, that's an interesting question, the way you put it. I think you just keep supporting him, and I talked to Jim Montgomery about this a little bit. You know, like him when it comes to helping somebody like that out of something, you just got to help. You know, say get creative, try things, guys. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he needs a shock to a system like a healthy scratch, unless a healthy scratch says, okay, you know what, dude, this one's been so bad, and the weight on you is so much, we're just going to give you a break. And you know what? This may sound nuts. Like, I actually understand that. The mental side of sports and all that other stuff, I can actually understand how this is snowballing. And I've talked to Pavel. I mean, the pressure he's putting on himself, how he's feeling, like it's immense right now. And his confidence is as low as I've ever seen it. I really like some of the scoring chances he had, and I know that's a glass is half full, but the reality of it is, you know, he's being paid on this team to help produce. I mean, you're looking at Pavel Buchnevich as being a 65 to 75 or more point player, and obviously we're seeing well below that. We're not getting production on the power play. You're not getting production at even strength. That's a problem. I can tell you guys from just personal conversations with him, he cares tremendously. There's effort there. It's not like what you saw from JT Miller in the game last night. You know, that was something else. But it's there. And you know, when I asked Jim Montgomery about, is there something about the game that you like? He goes, yeah, like the penalty killing, the work ethic. He's trying there. And then of course, then you see that play last night. And in one sense, there's one camp that is totally understandable. Says you got to win that puck, and if you're the Blues, you absolutely have to. And then the other sense, I go, that's a hell of a play by Tavares, and then an even better one by Nylander, and I'm going to give them props for it, and that's why they win the game. And so, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes a healthy scratch, and you can tell, you're like, what was that play or that play? You know, this one's a hard one, but the reality of it is they're paying him to produce, and you're just not getting it. And I wish I had a better answer for you, BK.
If they're doing it with Kyrou, though, Curbs, why wouldn't they do it with Buch would be my follow-up to that.
Well, that's an interesting one. I see these two players as somewhat okay. First off, you're absolutely right in a sense. Now, look, we saw his ice time cut by 5 minutes a few games ago, right? I think that it is a natural step that could be coming. I don't think that there's any difference if they could do it to Kyrou. They could bench Thomas for half a period. Yes, they absolutely can. So in that sense, you're right. But for me, at times I think I see different levels of impacting the game. You know, like I thought last night, and I know it might be recency bias out of 19 games of being the last one, might have been the best game of the year for Jordan Kyrou, and he didn't even pick up a point. Right? I mean, he was all over the ice. He was making plays. If that's the Kyrou you get 8 or 9 out of every 10 games, you are really, really happy. And he's going to pick up some points because they're going to go in for him. Pavel Buchnevich kind of plays a different style than Jordan Kyrou. So, again, not a great answer. I can't disagree with you, BK. I don't have a defense for why you wouldn't or why you would on that case. This is a scenario where the team isn't going well, and Pavel, unfortunately, is going worse.
I'm in full agreement, Curbs. They play different games. I'm laughing because I keep telling Alex I got one more.
Curbs, go back and watch this YouTube stream because all he keeps doing is looking at me going, can I get one more in? Can I get one more in?
This is not so much a question as it is a statement. I agree they play different games. If you're going to play different games, though, Buch has to win that board battle last night. If part of his game is that he's going to be a little more physical, he's going to go to the areas that Kyrou probably isn't going to, and I agree with that, Curbs. Totally agree. And Kyrou's got to play with his speed, and there were times where maybe that wasn't the case for him. But if you're going to bench Kyrou for not playing with the speed, I've also got to say, hey, maybe the same thing is going to be true for Pavel Buchnevich if you're not playing with the physicality that they expect.
And if I can add in one little statement here too, Kurz, while we're on the Buchnevich one, because I mentioned this on post.
Hi, Alex.
Yeah, hi, Kurz.
Tanner, how are you guys?
Tanner's checked here. We're here too. The one thing I mentioned on post game last night, Kurz, was the Pavel Buchnevich isn't shooting the puck. Like, in his last 8 games, he's only had one game where he has taken more than 3 shot attempts. And I know he's a guy that distributes, but, man, he's not even putting shots on net. He's kind of deflecting the time he gets the pucks and trying to move it over to somebody else.
So, listen, guys, his confidence is as low as it can get. And sometimes that's what happens. You're like, I'm going to give it to somebody else, right? So, again, the coaching staff has to find a way to build it back up and get that player out of him if they can. You know, it's just it's not just, well, he's not playing well, so let's move him, let's sit him, let's do that. Like, at some point, you know that if this team's going to play well, Pavel's got to be part of it, and they're going to say, keep figuring it out. To BK's point, I couldn't agree more. You absolutely had to win that puck battle. Somebody had to go in there and throw the body around, and it was Broberg. It was Broberg and Buchnevich on that wall battle, right? And then Holloway came in. Now, Holloway went down low in case that puck squirted out, and in the end, that gave up the middle of the ice. Right? But amongst the 3 of them, somebody had to throw a body in. John Tavares cannot win that puck battle. And Craig Berube went into the room after that game, gave a speech to his team. It's on social media, and he highlighted that play with Tavares, and he goes, now that's how you play winning hockey, by winning battles like that. And then the player that went to give their kind of post-game win, you know, championship belt, whatever they're using, was originally going to give it to Nylander, and he stood up and said, well, after that, I'm giving it to John Tavares. And the reality of it is yeah. Now, look, from a big picture standpoint, guys, I've talked to Jim Montgomery now 3 different games in a row on this. And I said, key, and it's still, we're win the puck battles. I mean, you heard it, you know, go in there like you want to break somebody, like I'm going to break a leg to get in there, right? And there was a great example last night of why those puck battles are important. Did it cost? I don't know. Do they win in a shootout? Do they win some other way? I have no idea if you win that puck battle, but the reality of it is losing that puck battle cost you that extra point in that moment.
Exactly. It's not so much that, like, I know they would win if they ended up winning that puck battle, but I know they don't lose. And that's at least a starting point.
Yeah, they don't lose. They don't lose in that moment.
Spot.
Right.
Total. That's a better way to frame it, Curbs. All right, Curbs, we did a lot of Pavel Buchnevich talk today. I know that I want to say this. Buch isn't the only thing that's going wrong for this team right now. And so, like, I'm not trying to just hone in on any one individual player, because I think sometimes we do this too much. We did it on Kyrou earlier this season. We've done it on Thomas before. But, like, these are your best players, and so there's going to be a lot of spotlight that comes. That's what the money is for. And so that's why we're having this discussion today, because it's been a really tough season for him, and last night was a really tough game for him.
Yeah, but look at the even strength points across the board. You know, I mean. And the guy that scores the goal has scored goals in 40 or more goals in 3 straight seasons. Okay, like in some cases we're just talking different levels of player, right?
Agreed.
But in this case, it isn't just Pavel. Yeah, that's a big factor. I mean, he's one of your 3 highest paid players, and the production isn't there, right? And so if the production's not there, then you got to do the little things, and winning that puck battle is a big part of it, right? But at the same time, there's just a whole list right now that they're, you know, going through. They need more production out of so many more in their top 6. I mean, again, look at the only goal you scored in that game. It was a power play goal. I mean, God, I know Walker got the goal, but it was Nylander that put it in, right? So there's other stuff. But listen, it's absolutely a factor. I think it's fair to ask. It's fair to criticize. It's fair to critique. And the guys themselves know that, and they're just in one now that they keep battling. Now, look, They picked up points in 7 of the last 10 games. I tend to like the way things are starting to trend a little bit here. I like the way the goaltending's looking. There are some other things going on, and so hopefully they find even more of a stride as this road trip continues.
They're really hard selling us on this road trip, bringing everybody together as well. So we'll see if maybe that can play a factor in this. Curbs, appreciate
Nothing
the time.
like sports psychology.
That's right. Appreciate the time as always, my man. We'll talk with you again soon.
Okay, guys. Have a good one.
Same to you. That's Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joining us as he does each and every Wednesday here on BK and Ferrario. Sorry, Alex, I kind of took over that interview.
I feel like I asked a lot of really good questions there.
I think I'm even going to cut out your little bit.
Curbs like 4 times a week. I figured this would be my opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you have a good question?
No, I had a couple. I had a couple.
What else did you want to ask that you didn't get to ask
You
today?
know what?
Should I call him back?
It's a moot point at now. Moot point. I did want to ask about Fowler. He's been on the ice for the second most even strength goals against in the National Hockey League.
Really?
Yeah. It's him and Mackenzie Weegar, which Calgary, woof.
I really wanted him.
Well, you got Fowler, who's kind of right there with him.
I didn't want to extend Fowler, just for what
I didn't want to extend Booch for what it's worth.
Yeah, I was all in on that one.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
You and Army get to wear that one.
Wear it moving forward, I guess.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You better get a Booch jersey.
Second most even strength goals against him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not good.
Likes to hear that answer.
Now you want the pot. Well, if you wouldn't have kept doing it.
I wanted to talk about Booch. I thought he was the biggest storyline today, but now you have something else that you brought to the table that I find interesting.
We'll throw that out there next time around.
Should have mentioned it in our pre-show. We'll use that as a
Didn't
secondary.
have the chance then either. You kept with me every single time. Now the positive.
Could have used that yesterday when we had a whole lot of nothing.
Well, at that time I didn't look at it live. Looked at it last night. The positives is he's been on the ice for the second most even strength goals for on the team.
Well, that's like 5.
Well, no, it was 15 total. He's been on the ice for those. It's
They don't
just
score a whole lot of goals at even strength.
he's been on the ice for 16 even strength goals against. So woof.
So you've only been outscored by 1?
Yeah, -1's not bad.
That's not bad for this team.
No.
Shen's like
That's
minus
pretty good.
15, I think.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, Shen's a -14. We don't talk about him a whole lot.
Yeah, I actually
I was
think,
going to ask about him if
I think you weren't getting one, buddy. If I wasn't getting one, you weren't
He's not
getting
worse
one.
than Mayu.
They
Now he's played twice as
I was
many
going to
games.
say, that's not fair to me.
the 3 forwards that are the worst at even strength goal differential: Shen, Holloway, and Pavel Buchnevich. You want your problem? There's your problem right there.
And Kyber. Kyber's out of them too now.
That checks out.
And then Fowler and Mayu. I think some of that is Fowler did play a little bit with Mayu, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's...
She's going to throw it on Mayu.
It's like me playing with loaded dynamite and saying, how did I blow up? I don't know.
Wow, now we're calling Mayu loaded dynamite?
Let's be real, man.
Unbelievable.
Because of shot. Scored a goal in the AHL.
Unbelievable.
Jim Torres next year on 101 ESPN. TMA isn't the only show on this station that can talk about the NBA. You want to play a game of who he play for?
Oh, boy.
Can we do like NHL version? Because I can nail that one.
So we did this a little bit before the show today, so I've already used a few of the options that I think were the best ones. I was watching the game last night, and I was like, there's some fun players that we could get into here. So let's start this. Zach LaVine.
Oh,
Who he play for?
crap.
Who does Zach LaVine play for now?
I want to say Sacramento, but I don't know if that's right.
I wanted to say New Orleans.
Chicago Bulls, played for the Timberwolves, start out his career.
T-Wolves
I'm
and
going to
the
go
Wolves.
final answer Pistons.
I'm going Kings.
Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton.
Oh,
Who
that's
he
the
play
Lakers.
for?
That's the Lakers.
Yeah,
I know
that one
that
is
one.
Lakers. I
That was a
remember
big
that
signing. Woo!
Yeah. All right.
Suck a TMA.
Big signing. I think he signed for like a couple $1 million.
they
Colin
made it a big
Sexton.
signing.
Who he play for? Who Colin Sexton play for?
He was the Spurs.
Oh, wasn't he Cavs?
No, I don't think so.
I think he's Cavs still.
Are you sure?
No.
This isn't a. He's not. If it's a still at the end of the sentence, he's not there anymore.
I think he is, though. I think he still is a Cav.
Pistons.
I'm going Cavs.
Charlotte Hornets.
Why is Pistons always your answer?
I don't know.
They're
I
really
just-
good. They
I
would have
has
some
Not
washed-up
played for
player.
the Spurs or the Pistons. He played
Well, I
for
knew the
Utah.
Pistons. I knew the Pistons.
Previously
I
was
thought
with
he was on the
Cleveland.
Spurs.
He got traded to Utah, I believe in the
Okay.
Donovan Mitchell trade, if I remember.
Oh, that's been a
correctly.
while.
That's the one I remember.
All right, next one up here. Let's see here. Who should we go with? Russell Westbrook. Who he play for?
Ooh, that one is the.
I think it's Kings.
I thought it was the. Oh yeah, no, I
Because
think
he
you're
was
right.
with the Nuggets last year, and I think he's in Sacramento now.
He didn't go back to the Clippers, right?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Go with your gut.
CP3 went back to the Clippers.
That's what I
think.
was thinking of. Go with your gut.
I'm going with, who'd I say, Kings.
Ding, ding, ding.
There we
T-Bone's
go.
got it. The Kings are just a collection of these guys.
Apparently.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say,
just
this
a
game
bunch of
should be
players
the
that you're like,
Sacramento Kings.
Wait, who? Tobias Harris. Who Tobias
Oh, my
Harris
gosh.
play for now?
He's been around like
I was
every
gonna say-
organization.
Oh God. For some reason, I want to say Houston.
Oh, I was thinking Bucks, but I think that he's already left there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Bucks.
I'm going to
still.
say Rockets.
Bucks.
Detroit. We finally got to the Pistons.
Damn it! I knew it. One of these guys was going to be on Detroit. Play the odds,
Yeah,
man.
I would have had no clue on that one. I mean, hasn't he played for like
he was
10
the Clippers.
organizations?
What was he? The Clippers? Wasn't he Clippers recently?
No.
No.
he ever been a Clipper?
2018, he played for the Clippers.
Oh, that's recently. That's 7 years ago. That's pretty recent.
Yeah, it's in the decade.
Yeah.
Last decade.
the
close to
same
5
year
years.
that Mike Matheny was fired.
That's fine. It's pretty recently.
That's when hoops was hoops.
Yeah.
Let's go with
It's my
Harrison
decade.
Barnes. Who Harrison Barnes
Oh my
play
gosh,
for?
he's still in the
Jeez.
league?
First thing I thought was the Mavericks. I think that was early in his career.
He left the Mavericks and was with
Oh,
the Kings
God.
there last. I
Oh,
don't think
Harrison
he's still there, though.
Barnes.
For some reason, I'm thinking like Clippers.
I was thinking Raptors.
Oh, that feels like a good guess.
You want to go with the Raptors?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Toronto.
Raptors.
He plays for the San Antonio Spurs, the
Ah!
same team that he was on last year, by the way.
Well, he didn't make the playoffs. That's why I didn't know. That's the only one I watched.
They were irrelevant then, so.
When did he last play with
Why
Sacramento?
don't you give us an easy one like
Sacramento.
Wembanyama?
3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
This
That's
is
close.
his second season in
recent.
Sacramento, or in San Antonio. So,
It's recent.
Kristaps Porzingis. Who's he play for?
Oh God. Oh, he was.
He was Mavs,
yeah.
but I think he left.
No, I think he's still Mavs.
I don't think so. I think
No?
he's gone.
You guys are ridiculous.
He's not even
He
with
hasn't
the
played
Mavs.
for the Mavs in 3 years.
Wait, who was he with previously then?
Who was he with last year? I
He
thought
just won a title.
he was
Who
with
won the
Oklahoma
title
City?
last?
No.
Oh, he was with Boston.
Yeah.
Is he still with Boston?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, Detroit. I'm going Detroit. That feels Detroit.
No.
It's not
like a winner.
Detroit.
It's another team that's just a collection of random players, though.
Miami?
No, Charlotte.
I don't think Charlotte's got that. I'm going Miami. That
I'm
feels
going
really
wrong,
wrong, but-
Raptors.
The Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah,
I would've
never
had-
getting that one. We know hoops.
He's really with the Hawks? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yep.
Man, I remember when he was like the unicorn that came over from overseas.
Someone said, "Where is this going?" Nowhere. This is where it's going.
This is
the game. We're showing TMA what's up.
Yeah.
We've gotten more right than if they did this game with Jackson
for
on
hockey.
the NHL.
Yeah, that's fair.
So not by much.
Yeah, but yeah. Who else you got?
Lonzo Ball. Who he play for?
I thought he retired.
Yeah, he doesn't play anymore, man.
He does.
I know where his brother plays. Doesn't his brother play for the Pelicans?
No, his brother plays for the Hornets.
Oh, well, I don't know what his brother plays for then.
Is he
Lonzo's
with the
back.
Pelicans?
No.
No.
I have no idea who he plays for.
Should I go with Detroit?
No, he's not good enough for them.
Okay.
That I know.
Sacramento seems like they've got a lot of people.
Like,
that's a good one. Washington. Sacramento.
Cleveland. He is on the Cleveland Cavaliers this year.
Well, then I misspoke about him not being
Cavs.
good enough for the Pistons because Cleveland's like the best
He's
team.
a bench player for the Cavaliers.
I still swear he retired.
He did, I think, and then came back.
Does Al Horford still play?
He's got to be Boston then, right?
I think. I mean, I don't
If
think
he's playing,
left.
he's Boston.
Al Horford is playing for
Boston.
Golden State Warriors. He's hurt right now, but he's playing for the Warriors this year.
Wow, I didn't know he got moved.
I didn't either. Paul Millsap's not around still, right? Thinking back to the old Hawks team, that was really good. Okay,
Those
good.
Hawks teams were fun. I really liked those Hawks teams.
I say everybody's on that retired except for I guess Al apparently.
All right, so that's who he play for.
So we
What do we
BK
get, like
and
2,
Ferrario.
right?
it's like 4.
You guys got a few. At the beginning of it, you guys were good.
We got-
D'Angelo Russell. Who's D'Angelo Russell play for?
Oh,
He what?
he
went.
hasn't been with the Lakers in a while, so don't
Well,
say
no,
that.
he went Nets and then went back to Lakers. Is he with the Mavs? For some reason, I'm thinking Mavs.
I want to say Spurs.
I'm thinking Mavs.
Is it Mavs?
Yeah.
How about T-Bone? Look at
Yeah.
T-Bone over here.
Yeah.
He's rocking it.
We got more right in the
Dallas
office than here.
Mavericks.
Yeah, we were much better in the office.
Yeah, we nailed a couple of them in the office.
Yeah, you guys did pretty well in the office. I had a little higher hopes in this. We also did more deep cuts.
these are deeper cuts. At least these are some of the better ones.
All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK.
Let's play football
next.
tomorrow.
T-Bone. Tim had an interesting comment earlier today about what the future holds for NIL in the collegiate game. I think he makes a fair point on this. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK, and it is time to unlock your inner champion. The place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. You can check them out today online at victorymenshealth.com. When you get over there, you'll have an opportunity to read about all of the great things that they have to offer. Whether you need some help with erectile dysfunction, you're looking to lose some of that unwanted weight, this is the perfect time to do so. Get the process started right before the holiday season, and then you're ready to go by the time that we get to the new year. Also, low testosterone symptoms. If you're feeling those, it is time to get the help that you deserve over at Victory Men's Health. Check out all that they have to offer on their website, victorymenshealth.com. I use them. They have helped me unlock my inner champions. For me, that means they send me all of the supplements that I need. It's a super easy process. I went in there. I got my blood work done. They were able to find out, all right, where are your micronutrient levels at? And they personalized my options for me, and they're sent to my door each and every month. It's incredibly easy. You can do the same thing, whether it's erectile dysfunction, weight loss goals, low testosterone. It's all available for you at Victory Men's Health. Book that first appointment today at victorymenshealth.com. Before we get into Tim's comment earlier today on TMA, I've got a thought for you guys. I'm curious how you think they would handle this. A few years ago, we saw Florida State was going to go into the college football playoff without their starting quarterback, and so they missed it, right? That was the Jordan Travis here, where he got hurt, and they ultimately missed the playoff because of it. Shouldn't you treat it the same way if your coach leaves? Like, in the hypothetical scenario where Ole Miss gets word from Lane Kiffin, I'm gone. I'm going to take the job at LSU. And he decides he's going to leave prior to the playoff, and they are coached by Joe Judge. Don't I have to take that into account if I am part of the playoff committee? And I look at their resume and I say, yes, you guys went 11-1 this year, an unbelievable season. But the guy that orchestrated all of that is no longer there, and so I don't think that you're the same team any longer.
I don't think that's fair, because that's taking it away from the players who went out there and put the effort in to get to that point.
I mean, there's 22 starters on the college football team, and one of them was out for Florida State. They won every game, and they decided you're not good enough.
The biggest one, though. It's not like we're talking about
I would argue that Lane Kiffin is the biggest piece of what they have done.
Yeah, but I still don't think you could take that away from the players. You take the quarterback out of Florida State at the time, that's the biggest piece on the field who's putting it out every single game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Florida State play at least one, if not two games?
I think they played the
championship
championship game without him.
But I can't remember if he missed another game or not in the regular season. And the reason,
I don't believe so. I think it was just the one.
And even if it is,
I think they finished out that game and then had one more full game that year.
Even if it is the one, I think what I hope what the committee did was they didn't immediately say, yeah, they are out the moment the quarterback got hurt.
I mean, they went 13-0.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, what I hope the committee didn't do in that scenario, and I'll get to my point on Ole Miss.
Sorry.
I wasn't going to say it, Tony, but yeah, I was thinking.
You did it yesterday, too, so it's fine.
I hope that they looked at that situation with Florida State and said, okay, we won't immediately rule them out the moment the quarterback went down. We are thinking that they're probably not the same team, but we got to see it first, right? Because there's a chance we've seen in the past where a backup quarterback could end up being just as good, if not better, than your starting quarterback. Zollers, maybe. At Mizzou. But the reason I say that is because I remember seeing them in the ACC championship game and going, man, they are really not the same team without Jordan Travis. You can't put them in the playoff. And the reason I bring that up is if Kiffin does leave before the Egg Bowl, I think you have to look at them and say, they're probably not the same team, but let's see what they look like without Kiffin first. And if you get that one game and they still look as dominant as they have in the past, then to me, you still have to say, you know what, coach did leave, but it doesn't matter. Look at what they just did against Mississippi State. They belong in. If they look bad and they barely beat Mississippi State, or even if they lose to Mississippi State, there is then a fair argument, in my opinion, to kick them out of the college football playoff.
I think the scenario that you presented that makes the most sense is if they end up in the SEC championship game. Now, I haven't gone through all the permutations of how that would happen. I think A&M would have to lose against Texas. And if they did, I think Ole Miss would be able to get in at 7-1. They would. I don't know if they would have the tiebreaker over Texas A&M, though. So we'd have to look into that to see exactly how all of those tiebreakers would work. But in the event that they were to play in the SEC championship game and then they lose, and they don't look good in that game, potentially without Lane Kiffin, I do think that would be an interesting thought experiment on how that would play into their decisions in the college football playoff. A lot of people are saying, BK, you can't do this. You can't do this to the players. I'm not saying it's fair. It does seem like a realistic scenario, though, of their coach leaving in the midst of a playoff run, potentially. And we've never seen that before. We've talked about, would players opt out of the season prior to the playoff in the new era, right? Where you're like hoping for your draft stock and you want to just get your head start. You don't want to get hurt, whatever it may be. If a coach does this and it's unprecedented, it'll give us some kind of precedent on how they handle these things in the future, just the same way that the Jordan Travis injury, it gave us precedent on how we would handle that kind of an injury in the future as well. It is something that is taken into account. I don't know what they do with the coach. I don't know that they ever expected that they would have to deal with this situation because they never thought a coach would leave in the midst of a playoff run. All right. Speaking of Lane Kiffin, part of why he would potentially leave is because of NIL opportunities that exist elsewhere, whether that's at Florida or LSU. It seems like those are the two main spots that could be potential options for him. Tim had an interesting comment earlier today on TMA, Alex, about NIL, and this is specifically as it pertains to Mizzou, Take a listen.
Major booster. Was texting with him, and he said, this situation is driven by boosters and donors who are willing to pay to win now. I don't like anything about the whole pay-to-play game. I can't support it. It's the worst financial investment in America. You get zero return. That's the cold, hard facts. Sad, but true. So gives you an idea of where people who have been happy to donate, they see exactly what you were just saying, Doug, which is, well, when does it end?
That is something that I've been wondering about as I've heard Eli Drinkwitz go on this warpath of we need more, we need more, we need more, we need more. Kenny Dillingham is doing this at Arizona State right now where he's saying, hey, if you're a local restaurant, how do you not have something named after one of the players and get NIL opportunities that way? You're seeing this all across the country. Coaches are having to become the figureheads of their universities to sell everything to get more money for NIL and for revenue share, which may or may not be coming. It seems like nobody really knows exactly what the plan is down the road, but potentially $20 million there, but uncapped is the NIL opportunities. So you could have $20 million towards revenue share, which goes towards all of your sports. And then we have no idea how much these teams are going to or want to spend beyond that. And I think that that text from Tim, whoever he talks to there, the booster for Mizzou, is interesting. There is no real return on investment for most of these opportunities. There are some, like Luther Burden, he had the chips, right? You see what kind of impact that has. If you're the chip company that had that opportunity with Luther Burden, you find out how many chips you sell. And that is potentially in part because Luther Burden is part of it. At Schnucks, they have certain things that are associated with players at Mizzou. You see the return on that investment. If you're doing advertising with a player, like I know here on this station, there are some ads that play with players voicing those advertisements. You can find out, is there some kind of an opportunity here? Most of this stuff, though, is just like basically donations. I'm going to give you money. The payoff here is you're a good football team. When it's at the front end of it, that's the cool thing to do. And then you see what Mizzou has success with it. And it's like, all right, we're going to keep adding to this, and we're going to get better and better and better. But as you get 3, 5, 10 years in and you haven't reached the college football playoff, there will come a point in time, Alex, where these donors say, well, you keep asking for more and the results look the same to me, where you're good, but you're not making it to the playoff. I'm not seeing the economic benefit in Columbia for a college football playoff game being hosted at the University of Missouri. So what am I really getting out of this other than handing you a $2 million check every year? I can do other things with this money that make more sense for me and for my company. So that is the bubble that may exist right now with college football, and I don't know what they do to fix that. Because these teams, these programs continue needing more and keep asking for more. But where's it coming from? And why are these people going to continue to give more if they're not seeing that return on their investment?
Well, to add more into it, haven't the Tigers been on a sellout streak for all of their home games? And if you've got boosters that are already saying, well, we're not seeing the economic profit from us putting it into these players, and there's no benefits on our side. Well, man, they've got sellout streaks right now at these home games, and they're talking about not seeing the benefits.
Well, the benefit for the company, though, has nothing to do with...
I thought that's the traffic coming to their business with all of the people in Columbia.
They may not be located in Columbia. It may be a business that is based in St. Louis or in Kansas City.
So then what's the return at all?
It could be some kind of an advertising thing, right? Like James Carlton does the advertisements on our station where he says, hey, this is Ahmad Hardy with my friend James Carlton or whatever it may be, right? You see like Car Shields does the advertisements with Blues players. They clearly believe there is some kind of a return on investment to be associated with the St. Louis Blues. There are companies that partner with your Blues pregame broadcast because they want to be tied in with the Blues. Mm-hmm. They think there is a partnership that can exist there, that because they're associated with the Blues, when people think about the Blues, they think about X, Y, or Z companies. The same thing may be true, in theory at least, with Mizzou. There are Mizzou fans that say, hey, because I'm listening to the broadcast and I hear that company's name tied to it, or I go to the football stadium and I see this company is tied to the stadium, or naming rights for the stadium, whatever it may be, there's value in being associated with the program. What if they're not seeing that payoff, though?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, what if
it's just this is it, and you keep asking me for more, and I don't get anything new out of this. I'm just giving you more money every year. That's how you become a bubble. And then eventually people say, no, I'm not giving you more because there's no reason for me to. I'm not getting any return on this investment that I'm continuing to spend more money on. That is where programs could get into a really bad spot. And I don't know what the answer is for Laird Veach or for these companies or anybody. It's just the reality of it.
It's why it feels like these programs like Missouri, Illinois, what'd you call them, second-tier programs in these major conferences are really going to go through some nice highs. Don't get me wrong. What Mizzou's done the last couple of years with Drinkwitz have been really good. It hasn't led to a playoff yet, but it's been really good, and it's going to lead to a lot of lows. Because once that door opens up from Missouri, and then some of these advertisers are saying, "Hey, we maybe aren't going to start. This bubble's going to pop on you at some point potentially." You're going to go through about a probably 5 or 6 year lull, and then you're going to have to probably go through a coach and churn through a coach, and you're going to see if maybe if we bring in fresh blood, maybe he rejuvenates the fan base or the NIL funders, and then you're able to go through that. I think you're going to see a lot of these non-blue blood programs. Alabama, they can always sell their people on this, I believe, because they will get to the playoffs. Same with Ohio State, schools like this.
The thing is, it may just mean more to their fans that the team's good. And I'm not saying that to diminish. I can make a pretty strong case it shouldn't matter as much as it does to these people. Maybe it's not healthy to care that much about the program and its successes. But at a place like Alabama, dude, it really matters to their people whether or not their team is good. And that is the return on investment. It's just as simple as, do we have a good football team? Because if my $5 million makes our football team great, that's all I care about. I don't care if I ever get any other return on investment other than I'm happy on Saturdays throughout the fall. The anger of watching this team and them losing, that is worth me giving my money to this program. Texas Tech, that Cody Campbell guy, he clearly just wants to watch good football on Saturdays. He views that as being worth his time and worth his investment on money. Is that enough for the boosters at Mizzou? We're about to find out, because that's ultimately what this offseason is going to be about. It seems like that's where Eli Drinkwitz is heading is, I make $12 million bucks. I'm fine. My money is not the problem here. It's about what we can do for our payroll, and that's where the donors come in. So is that going to be there for Mizzou? Is that something that can be there to that degree for Mizzou? I truly do not know. And if it's not, it could be ultimately what leads to Eli Drinkwitz going elsewhere. And I'm not blaming fans for that. It's simply a reality of some programs live in a different world than where Missouri does right now. All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next on BK and Ferrario, three Blues made the Athletics' initial trade board. Who are they? How likely is it that any of them are actually moved this year? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So 3 Blues players, Alex, were on the initial athletic hot board.
Oh, the hot board is out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, baby.
The trade hot board.
Makes sense.
Let's go ahead and look into this and see, A, how many of them are likely to be dealt, and B, where they rank on this list.
Okay.
Number 1 on the list, Rasmus Andersson, a guy that we all thought was going to be traded in the offseason. Now Calgary is one of the worst teams in the NHL.
But you know what the weird part is? Calgary's saying, well, we don't want to trade guys that are pivotal to our team.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to trade Kadri. They don't want to trade Rasmus Andersson. They don't want to trade Uyghur. They're a weird team right now.
Number 2, Steven Stamkos, who's been as bad this year as Pavel Buchnevich at 5-on-5. It ain't great.
You want to flip Buchnevich for Stamkos?
No.
Number 3, Alex Tuck.
That one's going to happen.
I'd be interested in Alex Tuck.
Ooh, God. I think they said that he's like going to command closer to $9 million, and I think the projections say he's worth $7.5.
I agree.
His play's going to dip over the next couple of years.
At number 6 on this list is Braden Shen. We know what the situation is. He's got a 15-team no-trade list this year, and if we're just being honest, the production has not matched who we think of as Braden Shen. I think all of the other stuff is still there. He's still a good leader. He's still doing all of the things on the ice. He still brings the physicality that you'd like to see, but he's 34 years old, making $6.5 million. Alex, do you think it is realistic that Braden Shen gets traded this year?
Yeah, I do. If this team continues to perform poorly, I think you're going to see Braden Shen traded at some point. And I hate saying this because I think if you trade Braden Shen, your team's in a really weird spot. But, I mean, everybody around the National Hockey League says they need a centerman right now. And regardless if we think he's performing poorly or underperforming what the expectations are, another team sees that and says, yeah, but we think we can get the best out of Braden Shen. And so, yeah, the hard part is he does have that 15-team no trade, and I mean, I know for a fact that Doug Armstrong respects Braden Shen, and if Braden Shen doesn't want to move, how much does Doug Armstrong, is he willing to move the player?
At number 8, Justin Falk. Again, kind of know the situation here.
I'd flip Falk and Shen.
You think Falk is more likely to be traded than Shen?
I do, because I think Falk has been performing really well. He's playing top 4 minutes. He's producing offensively. I think a team, because we all know how little right-handed defensemen are available typically, especially one that can come in and play, and next year is his final year. He's at $6.5 million. I think he might be more likely to be traded over a Braden Shen.
And the last Blue on the list is Jordan Kyrou at number 20. I do have a small update here on Kyrou for you if you'd like it.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay.
This comes from Pierre LeBrun's latest article over in The Athletic, his NHL rumblings. According to him, the Montreal Canadiens are interested in a forward upgrade.
That's not an update, man. You just said a forward upgrade. It better be, and they've called about Kyrou.
Before making the Bolduc-Mailloux trade last summer, the Habs did talk several times with the Blues about Jordan Kyrou. But that was before his full no-trade clause kicked in on July 1st. I sense Kyrou, as of now, does not intend to waive that no-trade clause for any team in the NHL. Those things can change, but that's what I've been told. However, that feeling for any player can change on a dime. Kyrou may not want to waive it today, but will he feel the same way in 2 or 3 months, depending on how things play out? Question mark. That was it. That was the entire update. But the big thing there is he's, as of today, not interested in waiving his no-trade clause. So
yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And typically guys aren't willing to waive a no-trade clause unless it's just gotten really bad. That changes when a team approaches that player and says, hey, this team wants to trade you. Are you willing to go? And then you consider, it's like, oh, what would that look like? Where's that team at the standings? The problem with that is the reason you didn't pull off the trade because Kyrou was a part of those conversations in the offseason. They wanted more. Montreal wasn't willing to give it up. And the Blues aren't going to just get rid of Jordan Kyrou.
Kyrou for Bolduc straight up. Who says no?
Probably us. We got rid of him the first time.
Probably. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's a fair trade on both sides. But look, the only way Kyrou is getting moved is if another team is willing to give up something that you look at and you're like, why are they trading that? That's the only way it's happening. You're not getting rid of Kyrou just to get rid of Kyrou. If they're moving Kyrou, it's, well, we're getting an obvious upgrade that makes our team better right now. Great example. If they were to call Dallas and Dallas was willing to trade Robertson for Kyrou, That'd be a move that I could see the Blues make because obviously they, for all of the examples we have, aren't happy with him. They trade him for another guy that's a 100-point player, and they say, we'll bring him in. Those trades don't typically happen. 1 in division, 2 in season.
Just real quick, Zach Bolduc in his last 16 games has 0 even strength goals, 1 even strength assist. He is a -6 in that stretch of time, playing an average over that stretch of about 13 minutes a night.
Oh, never mind. I don't want him back. Yeah. Sounds like Booch.
This is why I think they looked at it and said, we can move Bolduc because Dvorsky can be our power play threat.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll hit the BK and Ferrario Rewind. We also have an opportunity for you to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue coming up on August 19th, so stay tuned for that. NFL Quick Hitters next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues fell in overtime to the Maple Leafs last night. They'll be back in action tomorrow when they visit the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an Icon Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
All right, let's dive into some NFL quick hitters alongside Alex and T-Bone. I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
Got food stuck in my teeth.
Probably hear
I love our shift so much. It's amazing. I get to wake up at a reasonable time. I get to be home for my kid to be at home whenever I'm there. The only downside, it's really hard to figure out when to eat.
BK was doing it during break.
You just need to give up on lunch like I do.
You can eat breakfast at a normal time, but then your lunch is basically either shifted all the way back to beyond 2 o'clock, or you have to do it at some point in the 3-minute breaks.
Best part about having toddlers is I get to eat dinner at 4:45 because they're, chaotic when you get past 5 o'clock.
See, so I just keep pushing mine back. We have dinner at like 7:30 or 8.
Oh my God. My kids would tear my house apart if that was the case. I just don't eat lunch. My lunch is a couple of different snacks, and then I just figure I'll eat whenever I get home. Getting home after the show is wild because it's like you get about a 45-minute window where you get to see your kids and play with them, and then it's like, cool, I got to get these dishes done. I got to cook dinner. You got to get in the bath and get into bed before school tomorrow.
All right, time for some NFL quick hitters here in BK and Ferrario.
I still got food in my mouth.
Shedeur Sanders is going to make his first career NFL start.
Oh, boy.
On Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders.
He went from a guy that literally said nothing in the locker room to now he's telling everybody that, look,
I'm the guy.
Those previous 2 wins, they weren't about offense. This one's going to be about offense. I'm a winner.
The Raiders are a 4-point favorite in this game. I actually think Cleveland wins.
Yeah, if they were playing anybody other than the Vegas, I almost said the Golden Knights, the Vegas Raiders, then yes, I would be picking the opposition. But they're playing legitimately the worst team in the NFL right now.
I'm still thinking I'm going Raiders.
Really?
Look, the Raiders were awful against the Cowboys, and they made that defense look good. Shedeur's like 4 of 16. Like, he's not going to be able to. He looks awful. He holds onto the football too long. He stands around. He takes too many sacks. Like, the Raiders are going to keep the Browns. This is going to be like a 10-3 game.
He could literally throw 4 picks in this game, and the Browns could still win because their defense could win them a football game.
That's the thing.
Especially against that team.
Yeah, I think their I think this game is the over/under is at 36.5. I'd take the under.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it feels way too high. The other big news in the NFL today: Michael Penix Jr. We knew he was hurt. We didn't know exactly what it was. Torn ACL, out for the season. He's going to need reconstructive surgery on his ACL again. This is the 3rd time, I believe, that he's had ACL surgery. I don't know that you can feel confident if you're the Falcons that he's going to come back and be a franchise caliber quarterback again. Dude, it feels like another lost season, not just this year, but next year. It seems unlikely he's back to 100% at this time next year. So 2025, that gone. 2026 also now potentially gone. You've got a looming question on your general manager and your coach and your quarterback. This is a team that feels like it's just floating in the abyss right now.
You want to start the chant, T-Bone? Blow it up.
No,
blow it up. Blow it up.
Can we be, you mentioned there, like, your franchise quarterback. I'm not sure he was your franchise quarterback.
Here's your best chance at one, at least. Yeah. Agreed. That's fair.
It was a risk in itself.
Yeah, and okay, so you knew he had injury issues in the past with his knees, because I think you're right. I think this is his 3rd ACL injury. And you didn't invest in an O-line to protect him? Like, where's the common sense in that?
I'd be trading everything this offseason just to get as many draft picks as possible. But the first thing they need to do is they need to fire the GM. You need to start from scrap. You need to get rid of the GM, get rid of the coach, start new, trade everything, and start over. Because the first thing you got to do is get a quarterback. And you said 2026 is going to be a lost season.
If you want me to be honest,
hope 2027 has a really good quarterback class and you can draft one. Because this one's terrible.
Yeah, don't rely on this year's class to fix your problem.
No,
Next year, you go with a stopgap. If Kirk is still under contract, which I think he is, you just go with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. This year in the draft, you just get difference makers.
You guys are right. I would just be so depressed if I'm Anthony Stalter and this is the team that I have to root for every
Don't you think
Sunday.
he's kind of calloused over by now?
Probably.
Like after that Super Bowl loss, you kind of know what to expect. A lot of bad drafts. I think he realizes it.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, we'll give you a chance to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue with special guest Tesla and Extreme. That's coming up on August 19th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. And we'll hit the rewind here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here in Missouri. Big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st, which is less than 2 weeks away. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my code Tanner. That's code Tanner as new Missouri customers sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live on December 1st. That's code Tanner. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
It's the final week of the Countdown to Thanksgiving campaign to benefit Operation Food Search. It's hosted by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, Hot Shots, Coca-Cola, and 101 ESPN. You can drop off a non-perishable food item at any Lee's or Hot Shots locations now through Friday. Every donation earns a free Coca-Cola beverage. Each donor can also enter to win a prize package that includes gift cards to Lee's and Hot Shots, as well as Blues tickets. All of the details can be found right now at 101ESPN.com. At the end of this segment, we'll give you a chance to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue coming up on August 19th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. You can find bonus opportunities for tickets at 101ESPN.com or the 101 ESPN app. But coming up here just a little bit, we will give you a chance to score a pair of tickets on 101 ESPN. Alex, I've got a piece up in front of me right now at CBSSports.com listing what they believe to be the primary target for each college football vacancy and the plan B for each college football vacancy. You want to play a little match game here?
Last time we did a match game, we didn't really do a good job.
LSU, who would you say is their presumed top target right now?
I'm going to go Kiffin. He's been touring.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin it is. Their plan B?
Eli Drinkwitz.
Nope.
Dillingham, Arizona State.
John Summerall of Tulane. Kansas State.
Yeah.
That seems to be where things are trending. Florida, the presumed top target is?
Lane Kiffin.
It is indeed. Plan B?
Is Lane on all of these games lists?
Basically.
This one's Drink.
Nope.
Oh.
I don't know who would be a plan B. Oh, South Florida's coach?
Brent Key of Georgia Tech is apparently, according to this is kind of speculation plus reporting, their plan B.
I'm just going to give you a heads up. I'm going to guess Kiffin for the main target and then Drink as the second target for the rest of these.
They also added Florida shortlist will almost certainly include names like Missouri's Eli Drinkwitz, Washington's Jed Fish, who I think is like not being talked about enough in this cycle, and Georgia Tech's Brent Key. So
he shut it down at a press conference. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Penn State,
one?
preferred top target is?
Drink. No.
TBD. They're not sure. Plan B, Clark Lee of Vanderbilt. Did I see some speculation yesterday that he's potentially signing an extension? Did you guys see that?
I didn't see anything.
How can you have a TBD on this article? You're going to name everyone and you're going to say TBD?
That's right.
Conspiracy Drink he blacked himself out of that one.
And this was the article you were reading and not paying attention to us having the conversation during the break.
We're having a really good conversation.
Auburn preferred top target is?
TBD, probably.
No.
Is it Drink there?
John Summerall. Their plan B?
Drink.
Eli Drinkwitz. It's the only one that he was named as the official plan B.
That may have been all.
He's really TBD
was Pat
for Penn
Fitzgerald
State.
on any of these? Okay, I'll say he's an interesting name, but I haven't.
Who's
not even mentioned?
Who's Mizzou's plan B?
Dude, I have no idea what they do, but hopefully we never have to stop.
Plan A will be TBD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. John Summerall, I think, is going to get a job this offseason. He's the Tulane coach right now. I think he will get one of Auburn, LSU, or Ole Miss. I think he'll be the head coach at one of those three programs.
Put Arkansas in there?
No. I think he'll be one of those three. I think those three are all better jobs right now than Arkansas is.
I haven't seen anybody connected to the Arkansas job.
I don't think anybody wants the Arkansas job.
People seem to forget that they fired their coach.
Yeah, I haven't seen much on that either. So
probably an interim hire.
If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Alex, what grade would you give today's show?
B+.
T-Bone?
I'll go A-.
I think so too. Why B+? I thought you had a really great show today, Alex.
You weren't listening
especially
to
in
us
comparison
earlier.
to yesterday. I thought you were really excellent today.
Yeah, but that off-air impacts on air.
Does it?
I don't know.
If that's the case, yesterday was an F.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had some tum-tum issues.
Yeah, I've got that vibe.
It trickled over into the post-game show.
Going on.
It trickled over into the post-game show, and then it trickled over into today's start to the show.
We didn't know what was going on. We were just like, yo, is he okay?
Yeah, it was.
And I thought, well, BK probably made him angry.
That was my
And then I
assumption,
thought,
too.
well, he was kind of down before BK really riled everybody up.
It was a weird 24 hours for your boy.
Are you giving it a B+ because you didn't get to ask questions to Curbs?
Oh, good point.
No.
He got one.
No, I got an opportunity to make a statement.
Yeah.
You got a question.
That wasn't a question. It was a statement.
I really want to know his answer on Fowler.
I guess I'll have to wait to find out.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
Objectively good question.
I'm chock full of them if you just give me a damn chance.
If you talk in that segment, I think I'll just cut it out during the podcast.
I feel like you just cut it out of the show because every time I try and make a point, there's BK just a little bit more.
I did that to T-Bone earlier today, and I genuinely felt bad about it.
I know.
I just railroaded it.
Yeah, and then I almost said something. I was like, I'm not going to say anything. And then he noticed it himself, so I didn't need to say anything.
My pre and post last night was like a D+. So
Oh, really?
It's been a 24 hours for your boy.
Well, get those GI issues on track. Maybe we'll all be heading in the right direction. Carlo Coliacovo was on with us today. Chris Kerber was on with us as well. We did talk a little bit about the college football playoff rankings. We mentioned Pavel Buchnevich. He's not playing well, so we gave you our extended thoughts on that and talked a lot about NIL as well. If you want to find any of those conversations, you can do so on the podcast page after the show today. You can also check out youtube.com/101ESPN STL, where Alex, I understand there's going to be a new edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast today.
We are JR list today, as of course he is on the East Coast, but still Donnie and I. We talked about the Booch thing, which shouldn't surprise anybody. That's the main topic these days.
Yeah, it's posted on YouTube now.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/101ESPN
Look at us
STL.
go.
You'll probably see some digital videos over on social media as well if you want to check those out later.
As long
on
as
today.
that platform, cooperates with me tonight.
Yes.
Heard that.
We'll have
101
those. ESPN right now is your shot to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue with special guests Tesla and Extreme. That is on August 19th. Tickets go on sale Friday at 9 a.m., but we have your chance to win free tickets right now here on 101 ESPN. And yes, we are actually giving them away today, unlike yesterday when I pretended that we were going to be giving them away. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. If you are texter number 101 with the correct answer to the following question, you are getting that pair of tickets to see Motley Crue. Earlier today, we played a game where we tested the knowledge of Tanner Hendrickson and Alex Ferrario. What was that game about a specific sport? I'll make it a little bit easier. What was the game that we tested the knowledge of T-Bone and Alex on a specific sport? If you have the correct answer, you're texter number 101. You're getting that pair of tickets to see Motley Crue coming up on August 19th. Coming up tomorrow, we will be joined by our friend Joey Vitale here on the show. We will also do our football pick'em a day early because T-Bone's going to be out on Friday. So we will have that prepared for you guys. And believe it or not, big show tomorrow. And Beat the Blues. Big show for you guys tomorrow here on BK and Ferrario. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.